When the East is in the house.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you get props over there. Come on.
That's it. The bridge is over. The bridge is over.
Linden Boulevard, represent.
Welcome back to Disposable Arts.
Hello there. Hello there.
Baby, what's going on, everybody out there? Disposable Arts episode 6. Finally coming at you live. Yes,
We are back.
we are back. I don't know how long the break was, but it was a long time. It was so long we didn't even know what episode we were on.
It was that long.
It's been
long enough.
I want to say it's been 4 months, 5 months since at least 4 months. I mean, pretty much all summer. We're into the depth of fall right now, so we thought maybe it's probably a good time to spark back the show up. So here we are, man. Here we are with episode 6, and I'm super excited and happy to be back doing this because I've been pumped all week. I just really wanted to get back in the groove of things, man. It's been a relatively slower year, but it doesn't mean that the love has dropped off any for this hip hop shit. How you guys doing, man?
I love you guys, man.
Yeah, man. If you guys are just tuning in for the first time, I am Moods. We got my boy Jayla Solis in the house, and we got Action Anticon. We are Disposable Arts, and what we do on the show is we just talk about hip hop shit, underground mostly, and make fun of mainstream. Yeah, man. So what's new, guys? What the fuck has been happening in the last 3-4 months in your lives? I mean, it was summertime.
Yeah, just hanging out, just chilling, enjoying the weather. Didn't really have any vacation time, just so working every day pretty much, but yeah.
What about shows? Did you guys hit up any shows this summer? Any good hip hop shows?
Yeah, I've been to a few shows since I think we did the last episode. I saw, that was a while, wasn't it? Because I saw Ari the Rugged Man and Afro.
Yeah, man.
Saw Mercules, and then I saw Joyner Lucas recently. So yeah, I've seen a few shows since we last did a show.
That's cool, man. I haven't seen fuck all because, to be honest, I don't get shows around here. I mean, I got to travel 800 clicks to like the nearest place that gets shows. So, it doesn't happen a whole lot. Yeah, I was giving Necro shit the other day, actually, to be honest. He's on this Canadian tour right now. Did Necro come anywhere near you, Jay?
No, he didn't.
He didn't go that far east. Yeah, well, he didn't.
No, there was he was doing the tour with Madchild, right?
Yeah, they're on that the fuck mainstream underground tour, whatever it is. But yeah, man, I was like, I was looking at the tour dates, and of course he's hitting up all the major spots in Canada. He's doing Toronto and Hamilton and all the places, Winnipeg and Calgary, Edmonton, blah blah blah, Vancouver, and I'm like, man, RA came here last year. I think you could probably make your way up here. I know Madchild's familiar with my home city. He's been here lots of times. I've seen him lots of times. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Got to look into this a little more, man. Spread the wealth, Don't just hit the major metropolitan fucking cities up here. Got to spread that love. And he's like,
yeah,
sorry, man.
It's kind of shitty, man.
Yeah,
I know. It's kind of shitty because I'm sure they wouldn't mind coming to those places, but they just aren't booked, right? They just don't have the opportunity in most cases to get there.
I think what a lot of people do fail to realize is that, Necro and Madchild don't necessarily pick the venues. They have they have agents that do this for them, so they have to figure out venues and dates and stuff and cities to go to, and it's not really 100%. It's mostly out of their hands. This is how the tours are picked and shit, right? So, people complain all the time. It's like, why didn't you come here? Why didn't you come here directly to the artist? But in retrospect, it's not them. And I understand that I was just breaking his balls. I was actually pretty astounded that he actually got back to me. You know, it was pretty funny. So he actually answered me, and I'm like, he's like, oh yeah, you know, it's just, it is what it is. I'm like, I know exactly. I'm just busting your balls. But Necro's been very active, you know, with posting on Instagram. Like every single place he's went to, he's posted footage of his performances, you know, shots with the fans and stuff. And I think a lot of people kind of forget, you know, that side of him too. Like he really enjoys what he's doing too. He's not just like this horrorcore MC and shit, but he appreciates the fans, and I like that. You know, he's really showing the fans in the pics, and I like that about him, man. He's been giving a lot of good shout outs and stuff to Canada, and I was, you know, honestly super amazed that Necro was actually allowed in Canada.
Yeah, I think Necro's awesome at stuff like that, because he goes on Facebook all the time. I didn't actually see him recently, but in the past he's gone on for like 2 hours and just sit there and answer questions for people. It's like, it's pretty cool that a guy will sit down and take that time and just answer questions of his fans.
You know, I think he actually was banned from Canada for a little while. I think I remember him going on like a live feed or like one of those where he was answering questions for like a couple hours, and I think he actually talked about how he was like banned from Canada for like, I don't know, like at least a year or something.
Yeah, he's banned from other places in the world. I know that for sure, but I can't remember where.
Did he not get he got banned somewhere in Europe, I believe, for his content, right? Like it was too obscene and too, I guess, like too hardcore. Yeah, too vulgar and hardcore. I can't remember where it was, but you're right, Tom. I remember, and that's why it got me thinking about that. I was surprised that he was allowed back, and maybe I don't know how it works. You know, so many years you're banned for, and then you can get back. I don't know how it works, but I've never been banned from a country. But I do remember something about him being banned here.
He was banned from Switzerland and from Australia. I remember that too. I remember Australia for sure. And then he had like a $300,000 fine too for doing some stupid shit. And then it was Switzerland too for exactly what you said, just for like being.
I think that's. Yep, I think you're correct. I think it is Switzerland. Well, Switzerland's so like neutral. You know, like they just
neutral.
That's the joke about Switzerland. They're just super neutral. They just kind of sit in the middle, but like they're neutral at, you know, with everything. But yeah, that kind of makes sense, you know. But
from what I remember though, it wasn't just from like them being obscene. It was like something happened where a fight broke out in the middle of it, like one of his shows, and I guess there was like a mosh pit or something, and then like a fight broke out. And people ended up with like broken teeth and broken arms, like concussions and stuff. Like 6 people went to the hospital. So so he was welcomed back after that.
Yeah, I guess so, man.
From memory, you could probably look it up online somewhere, but
I remember him. I remember him talking about that. A big brawl broke out or something, and he get in the mix of it. So
right.
That fucking fight music, man. Yeah, man. Well, you know. I guess, Necro's finishing up. I think he's right over here on the West Coast. He might have just finished up his tour around my way, you know, close but not too close to go to the show. I'm still kind of bitter, but I would have loved to see him with Matchup. That would have been a great show, but he's actually on his way over to France, so he's not banned in France. He's going back to Europe to do another tour, which is crazy, man. I'm like, you know, I've been following a lot of these MCs, you know, on Instagram. It's kind of cool because you get to... You know, if you're not one of those people that's willing to go on the internet and just search out tours and shit like that, if you're involved in Instagram, a lot of these artists, it's a great social way of showcasing your schedules and shit like that. Like, I would have just never known, but like, you know, Ari the Rugged Man is back out like touring, or I think he's back in North America right now, but they're heading back over to Europe with Afro, and like those guys are constantly fucking touring. It's just insane. But big ups, man, for these guys, man, for doing this shit. Like, oh man, like, you know, the scene over there is crazy. I think the scene over in Europe seems to be a little more prolific than it is here, for Christ's sake.
A lot of like the independent MCs, like the underground dudes, get so much more love in Europe. It's like 3-4 times bigger than like anywhere in Canada or the States, you know, for like the love they get and the crowds they get and like all that stuff. The merch is so much more affordable, you know. Makes sense for them to go tour over there than opposed to here, because they get just like so much of a bigger turnout. They're so much more appreciative over there because they didn't used to get it many shows as we did. So now, once they found out that, you know, that people will actually come out to the shows, they just like, you know, they go there as much as they can. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's a simple fact that Europeans don't take it for granted. us in North America, I think we more or less expect these shows to be, in our places and things like that, because a lot of the MCs that we listen to are bred from this area. So we just, they're going to be playing. Right. So they appreciate it when they come over. But it is true, though. I've noticed, just from, reading comments and things like that, but the crowds over there are so much bigger. Like, they play to way bigger venues. Like, if I was, an MC touring, that's where I'd want to be. That's the shit right there. That's awesome, man. Sure. I'm so happy these guys are making a living doing that shit, man. It's just, it gives me goosebumps, man. It's just totally awesome that these independent artists are willing, or that are actually doing this shit, man. It's awesome. Big ups to the European crowds, man, for supporting that shit. Pretty cool stuff. I'm still beefing with that, though, man.
yeah, it sucks, man.
It's just it got me thinking, though, man. It really got me thinking because, in light of this shit, like, a lot of artists have been passing away, whether it be MCs or rock artists and things like that, and Gord Downey dying from the Tragically Hip recently, and of course Tom Petty and stuff. And I'm a really big Tom Petty fan, and it got me thinking. I was like, man, it came kind of unexpected to me. And I was like, man, when you have the opportunity to see an artist that you like, go and see them, because you might not be able to ever get to see them. Exactly. Tom Petty was just in Vancouver like a little while ago, and I heat and hot about going. I couldn't go because I had shit to do, but I will never get to see him now. And I'm just like, if you get those opportunities, see those artists, man. Like, I'd never get to see Sean P now, man. Shit like that. So go and see those goddamn artists, man. Support. What about you, Tom?
I was gonna say that's how the artists make a lot of their money, by touring. And so if you really do enjoy whatever your favorite rappers, whoever music, go see them live, go see a show, go support them, because that's what they really appreciate. They might appreciate you buying their music, but unless they probably don't make that much from it, regardless, unless they're like pressing it themselves or whatever. But go see them. I know they love it. It's always a great time, especially independent artists always find a great show. So definitely go. I haven't been going to enough shows, but I haven't really been to any shows actually in the past few months. There's a show coming up. Actually, there's a couple coming up. I know KRS-One is coming up next month near me, so I might go. I haven't seen him in years.
Nice.
And then Action Bronson, who I've never seen, actually is doing like the Blue Chip 7000 tour. He's coming pretty close to me too, so I might go check that out. I've never seen him live. So that should probably be a pretty good show. I'm sure he's going to be hilarious. I hope he cooks on stage, and that would be cool.
So who is Action Bronson playing with? Is he bringing along like the regular crew, like Mayhem, Loren, and all them cats?
I really have no idea. All I see is it just says Action Bronson on the website or whatever. It just says Action Bronson Blue Chip 7000 tour. Huh. So I don't know who he's going to have with him or anything.
So is Action Bronson going to be releasing this physically? It's just, it's not very often you see an artist tour on a digitally only release. I don't know. It just kind of cracks me up. Is this thing getting an official release someday? Or
I have no idea. But if anyone can do it, Action Bronson can do it.
He's got such a huge fan base, man. It's crazy. He really does, man. He's one of those guys that, you can't forget him though, for a couple different reasons. I've got friends that have heard him. They're like, man, he sounds like somebody I know. I'm like, yeah, Ghostface Killah. Oh yeah. So that you always remember Action Bronson, but when you see him, you can't forget it. He's one of those guys that just sticks in your mind. Plus, he's actually a dope MC too, right? So,
he's a really good MC. But he's just entertaining as hell. The guy is hilarious. Every time you see him, I don't know. Personally, I just crack up every time I see the guy talking. He's always funny.
He's hilarious. Yeah, that's another reason why I want to see him, because I'm sure he's 10 times more hilarious in person than he is online. So
and you see clips of shows, and he's out in the crowd jumping around and going crazy. It's it looks like a great show.
Yeah, for a big dude, he can move pretty well.
Yeah, he was supposed to come here a couple years ago, but he had to cancel it. I guess he was sick or something, so he canceled the show, and he's never come back. So, which is kind of shitty.
Yeah, I know he has. That sucks. I don't know if he's coming out with a physical copy. I was just kind of looking it up while you guys were talking, and I don't really see anything for it anywhere. So it might just be digital this time. I don't really know.
Well, when it came out, I thought it was going to be a mixtape, because his first Blue Chips is just a mixtape, right?
That's what I thought.
it's supposed to be a mixtape. All the Blue Chip series is like a mixtape series, but it does play more like an album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why I was confused on this one. I thought maybe it was like the official, kind of album to the Blue Chip series. And I was like, well, it's going to get a physical because I like to support the physicals, right? Support those artists. But I thought it was funny. I was like, is he touring on a fucking mixtape? I'm like, this is so strange. But whatever. Big ups, though.
Maybe he was going to put it out as a mixtape, and he thought, you know what, this is pretty goddamn good. I'm just going to charge people for it.
You know what it is too. When I read about it, is that he had a bunch of BS come up with like a bunch of the samples. He had a bunch of Headache samples on the album, so maybe that's another reason why.
Okay.
Yeah, he couldn't put it out. He just had to do it free.
Well, I mean, that's very prolific in today's world. I mean, people are not even trying to clear samples anymore because it's so expensive to do it now, and it's a lot harder.
Right.
It was a little bit easier back in the day when you had more people that could look into it for you. But when you're doing all this stuff independent, man, I mean, first and foremost, the funds is where you're going to get stomped on. Like you're going to hit a wall with that. And I mean, hence the War Porn record. I mean, they knew right away that they were recording this record, and they're like, even from using the Led Zeppelin sample, it's like, we're never going to be able to put this out. That would probably cost their whole budget for one sample kind of thing, right? But that's the beauty of today's world, is that we can still get these products online, And man, me and my homie were talking about this the other day. I think it's very intriguing that War Porn, they actually made a couple videos for the tracks off this free album.
Yep.
And he's like, how do you benefit from this? And I said, well, basically the only way you could probably make any funds off that, and it's kind of a loophole in a sense. So if you're putting out these tracks that have uncleared samples, like you can't put them out, you can't press them and release them legally. I think the loophole is you make a video for it and you post these tracks online, say on like a YouTube, and you take your chances with all the watches on there and collecting the funds from YouTube.
Yeah, that and you can sell merch and shit too, because I saw they started posting merch for War Porn and stuff. Yep. So
once again, touring. I'm sure if they did a tour, they would they'd make a killing on that, give away the music for free, and then just tour. So
exactly.
Yep. Well, that's what Run the Jewels did, right?
Yeah, touring is probably. I mean, that's where you're going to make all your money and stuff. But actually, just like specifically from the music side of it, put it on YouTube. Yeah, I think it's kind of a loophole, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good point with the videos. I didn't kind of really think about it.
I don't think they're going to make that much money off it, though, because I'm just looking at their videos. Like, they have, like, 300,000 views, 400,000 views, so which isn't going to get you a whole lot of cash.
That's like $300.
Yeah.
Right there. So, I mean, depending on... It actually depends on how... I mean, the monetization works differently at certain points, and it's actually kind of confusing to even explain. I mean, it's fucking weird. But yeah, you essentially have to have a fuck load of views to make any kind of serious money. That's
I mean, if you're like Lil Pump or Lil Uzi Vert, those guys are cashing in on YouTube.
Yeah, it's the fucking names, dude.
Yeah,
Little Pump.
Lil Pump is my new favorite.
That just sounds like Little Pump and Lil Uzi. Like, it just Pump the Uzi. Oh my god!
Can you imagine if they did a track together? Oh man. That would set the internet on fire.
Oh Lord. Oh, those names, man. Okay. All right, man. All right. So every time I hear the name Little Uzi, it just kills me. Man, I didn't know about this Little Pump character until you post that shit, and I was in tears, dude. I was in fucking tears. I'm like, oh my Lord, what is wrong with...
Lil Pump is definitely taken over as my new favorite. He's on top of Lil Uzi Vert, no question.
Ah, shit, I gotta wiping tears away here. It just kills me every time, man. I don't know what is the... It's just so bad. All right, man, let's get into a couple news bites here.
Ain't a bunker. Ain't a bunker. Ain't a bunker. Ain't a bunker.
You can't
scratch
fresher than this.
Not really that. There's not really a whole lot of notable stuff. Like, I mean, we've been off for a while. I didn't want to go back too far and you know, talk about old ass news. Who wants to fucking hear some old ass shit? So I went back about a month, and it's really not that crazy. But this little piece here that I read, I thought was pretty interesting, because I wasn't 100% under the impression that this was actually really happening, because I thought the rumor was, well, we'll get into it here. Redman says that Phife Dawg's his final album is really, really dope.
Yeah, I read that.
So I remember back in the day, like the original rumor, when it kind of, remember when like Tribe also like dropped a record? Or like, no, it was just before they dropped it, the news kind of broke that Tribe was working on a new record, and everyone's like, I don't know about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
See, I was under the impression that it was Phife Dawg's album that the rumor was about, not the actual Tribe Called Quest album, right? Because I had heard a little bite, you know, a long time ago that Phife was working on this record and stuff, and it was slowly getting done. And then all of a sudden the news was, no, it's a Tribe Called Quest album. And which we all know that album actually materialized and came out. So I just kind of forgot about the idea that Phife Dawg was actually working on a solo project. Now with this article here, apparently he actually was, and the album was almost done when he passed away. And he was actually in the process of shopping it around to labels at the time. They even shot videos. The first single off the record actually is Redman and Phife Dawg and Busta Rhymes, I believe, and they shot a video for it, and that video was shot, and Phife Dawg unfortunately passed away like 3 days later. You know, so it's kind of a sad story, but I'm really. Yeah. But the point of the story is I'm really happy that this Phife Dawg album was actually a true story. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm excited to hear it.
I'm really glad that it wasn't just, you know, it was actually a Tribe Called Quest album that they were working on, but they apparently were doing both. So I'm really jacked about this, man. Really jacked. So he says it's like, in the article, it says it sounds very old school, and that was kind of the point of the record. Phife wanted to take it back to like an older sound and things like that, which, you know, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna complain about. Really, I mean, but I'm really curious to hear this shit.
Yeah,
man.
The older the better for you.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah, the little Uzi Verts and shit just aren't really cutting it for me these days.
But you don't think he's featured on it? You don't think there's a Phife Dawg featuring Lil Uzi Vert feature somewhere floating around?
You never know.
Well, I could make that happen. Actually, you know, I'll just grab a beat, give me an acapella. Right. I'll just put a track together with Phife and Lil Uzi Vert. Good Lord. Remix.
Oh man.
Moods mashup.
Phife would be rolling over in his grave, be like, Moods, I hate you so much right now.
Yeah, I don't think I could disrespect Phife Dawg by doing that. Put him on the same track as Lil Uzi Vert. Dude, he'd roll right out of his grave and come and find me.
He's gonna set the internet on fire, have everyone hate him. Yeah. Go from most loved to most hated. Like, hey. Oh.
Exactly. So that's really cool, man. I mean, I'm hoping that they find the right distribution for it. I mean, hopefully somebody will step up and maybe just kind of self-release it. Not self, but maybe indie release it. I don't know, man. Yeah. But some of the major labels, they were shopping to, like, you know, the usual suspects like Jive and things like that. And I'm like, man, that's like a thing of the past, you know, because that's who they were associated with their entire careers with Tribe Called Quest, right? So it kind of made sense to go there, but I don't know why.
Well,
go ahead.
Who released the Tribe album? Wouldn't it be best to just go that same route? I don't know who did it exactly. I'll have to look on the CD. Who actually released that one? I think that would probably be the best route to go.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that would make sense.
Maybe you would actually. I would.
I'm actually having a hard time remembering who did it. Yeah, it wasn't obviously not Jive. I mean, that's like such a blast from the past, but
I'm gonna look it up real quick and just see who released the last one.
That actually does make sense. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I mean, like it just says in the article, they were shopping around, so who knows if they found something by now or someone's actually going to put it out. I mean, let's put it this way. This is Phife Dawg. The album is going to come sooner than later. Someone's going to, you know, put this thing out, so.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really excited.
And if Redman's talking about it, so I mean, obviously there's plans in the works to get it out there.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so speaking of Redman, actually, I was reading this funny ass article. I wasn't really going to talk about this, but speaking about Redman, there's this article about him still living in his famous MTV crib.
Yeah.
Oh, his New Jersey. Yeah, I remember. With his cousin sleeping on the floor and shit.
Dude, it's so funny. I was reading through the article. I was laughing so hard because you know Redman is. We all know it. He's a pretty comical dude. Like he's just. I find Redman to be super funny. Actually, he's just like kind of naturally funny.
Oh yeah.
But like in the article when he was explaining that when MTV Cribs did the episode on his apartment, it was just natural and very. It was him. Like there was nothing scripted. There was nothing scripted with it. Yeah,
you're right. It was just like where he was at that moment in his life. So it just kind of happened when it did. He said that he just woke up that morning and just like he did it. Whatever, it's like another day. So that's awesome.
I laughed so hard at that. He's like, because they showed up early apparently, and he was still sleeping, and he answered the door all like, tired-eyed and shit, and like just went. He's like, well, I would have cleaned up the fucking place, but I didn't even have furniture and shit. But to read on through it, I didn't realize, but he still lives there. I'm like, that is so funny.
I recently saw an interview. I think it was on with Ebro, and Redman is like, he's like, I bought a big house for my mother or whatever, but I just can't live in a big house. He said, I just like this place. It's good enough for me. That's all I need.
That's awesome.
He's like, I just go from the kitchen to working, right? He's like, I'm just working all day, just
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Redman's a character, man. But I have mad respect for him too. Redman's kind of like me. I'm not a big flashy person. Like I don't dress flashy. I don't I don't drive fancy cars. I don't, there's just certain things I don't care about. Right. And on that, Redman's obviously like that too. Cause people are like, man, I thought Redman had money, man. He lives in a shit ass place. I'm like, doesn't mean that he doesn't have money. It's just, he doesn't need to fucking buy all the fancy shit because he doesn't care about it. Not everybody is materialistic like that. Right. And he's a living proof of that. I just can't fucking believe how small it is though. It's like really, really small. Like he lives in a tiny ass apartment. But actually the article went on to say that, he's been still busy working on Muddy Waters 2, which has been, a topic of conversation for how many years now? I mean,
come on now. It's about damn time.
I know, right?
It's going to come out. It's going to come out soon, I think.
It was promising in the article because it said that Ninth Wonder had submitted 7 beats for the record. And I was like, ooh, that's at least half an album right there. So at least we know some of the beats are going to be good. Because let's face it, man, some of the new Redman material, that's really what's plagued him. I didn't even buy Redman's last record because it was, I could not listen to it. It was so fucking bad.
Yeah, right. Same with me, man. I love Redman. Like he's definitely one of my favorite MCs. But just the last album there was just ridiculous. It's like, man,
the last couple albums have been really down to me. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. So.
No, man. Even as entertaining as Redman is, you still are hearing the beats. You're trying to listen to Redman, but you're hearing the fucking beats, and it's so off-putting, man. I'm just so terrified because I think if Muddy Waters turns out to be like kind of mediocre to bad, it's gonna be so disappointing. Just with all this Ninth Wonder. But that's definitely encouraging because let's face it, man, Ninth Wonder is more or less pretty good. So that's interesting. That's interesting. But yeah, hopefully it comes out 2018. We'll see the new Redman record. I'm putting all my cards on that one right there. Last piece that I have for news here, I thought this was kind of interesting. Russell Simmons is actually in the works of producing a Def Jam movie based on Killah Rock. And it's explaining how Killah Rock was supposed to be the bona fide poster boy for Def Jam, but we all know that he didn't become that face of Def Jam. It was, theoretically was LL Cool J with Run DMC and then, Beastie Boys and things like that. So it's kind of showcasing how Killah Rock was the guy. But it's also Russell Simmons paying homage to him. And, he's kind of the guy that created this whole thing that eventually became Def Jam. I thought that was pretty interesting, actually. I was doing some research, actually, on Killah Rock. And, his song, It's Yours, like his famous track, It's Yours.
Yeah.
That song has been sampled by 283 other hip hop songs. And some of the songs on that list, everybody knows. Like the majority of them, people are like, holy crap. And sometimes when you hear the word sample, people are like, oh, I like, what do you, like, I don't hear the sampling. It could just be like a quick little fucking drum kick or something like that. But the point was, 283 songs came up, including an album that we are going to review later on today in the show.
Wow.
I was like, that is fucking unbelievable. And we'll get more into it too, because I'll bring it up. And I was just astounded. Yeah. By this song that was sampled by so many people. And it's kind of a shame, man, because Tila Rock had a lot of promise. And of course, do you guys know what happened to him? Do you know his story? Yeah, like how he got beat down and he almost died and shit like that. Yeah. So
that was, couldn't remember shit.
It was kind of contributing because he's kind of considered to be the artist that didn't know that he was a star. Like, he was a star, a little bit of a star at the time. He wasn't, the LL Cool J status, but he was a star at the time. And he got beaten within an inch of his life. And they're not even 100% sure exactly what happened. Somebody found him in his apartment, I think, and he was in a pool of blood, and he'd obviously been beaten, up to the point of almost dying. And he basically lost his memory and shit. And, like, it still, it affected him right through the 90s and, his speech and things like that. But it's it's a really sad but interesting story. And I'm glad that Russell Simmons is doing this movie, because this is the type of stories in hip-hop I think that the new generation needs to see, things like this, like just learning about the old school. And I mean, not just the new generation, but for everybody. I'm interested as fuck. I don't know the whole story, right?
Yeah. Right.
I'm curious to see this whole thing, man. I just know bits and pieces, right? Like, yeah. So
yeah, this is definitely going to be something that's more for, like, I would say, like, bigger hip hop heads. Probably a lot of the younger kids wouldn't be as into this, because I'm sure a lot of, not even younger kids, just a lot of maybe hip hop heads have no idea who Tila Rock is.
Yeah, exactly.
I can almost get it, and it's sad. But I do remember the story a little bit. I remember that I think there was like a fight going on in the middle of like his apartment building, and he like tried to break it up, and basically, he got beat really bad. He had like really bad brain injuries, and like he basically lost like all of his like motor skills, his like functions. He couldn't do anything. He had like really, really bad memory loss, like you said, so it was bad for a while. But I know like in the late 2000s he was still performing. He was back on stage from like 2008 to like maybe till his day. He was still doing shows and stuff. So
oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was still performing.
Crazy.
I do actually remember a few years ago him being on a bill. But I think, like it affected him through that whole 90s kind of period, which kind of sucks. Yeah. That's kind of the worst era to totally miss because of your condition. That would have been a great time for him. But, that's awesome that he recovered enough to actually do shows again and things like that. But no idea when this movie's going to materialize and actually, come out. But I'm really excited for this. This is really damn cool. And I'm actually quite surprised that there isn't like like even a biopic about somebody like Russell Simmons, like even like a straight up movie about Def Jam before this.
Yeah, like the whole Def Jam story would be an excellent topic for a film.
Yeah, I think this is cool that they're just taking one part of Def Jam, but like the bigger Def Jam story that we know is what Def Jam became and Russell Simmons and things, and there's probably a million cool stories in there. Like
for sure.
Really, really fucking cool shit. So big ups to Russell Simmons for doing this shit. I got mad props for that. So that's all I have for like news bites. Jay, do you have anything?
Yeah, I just have a couple quick little things. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, you off. I just want to say, back on the topic of Tribe Called Quest, that album did come out on Epic Records actually. So if the Phife Dawg came out on Epic Records, that would make sense. So I think his previous one came out something like that. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. I know we mentioned it, so sorry.
Yeah, we kind of get off topic there for a moment.
Right. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple little things I had real quickly. First, I just want to ask you guys, when you think of greatest lyricists of all time, does Lupe Fiasco enter your mind at all?
What? Lupe Fiasco?
I take that as a no. What do you think, Tom? Do you ever think Lupe is one of the greatest lyricists of all time?
Not for me personally. And even if I'm trying to not be objective, I would say no. In like every rapper that I can think of that's ever came out since rap, I wouldn't think that Lupe would be on that list.
I mean,
the reason I ask is basically he came out with a statement saying that basically his statement is, I have nearly every accolade there is to have in the music business. The only thing left is to be the GOAT lyricist, and that's the pace I'm on.
You know, I never thought that Lupe Fiasco was terrible. I wasn't overly a huge fan of the music. I actually did like his first album, you know, to be honest. I thought it was pretty decent. I thought everything after that was a little bit too not good for myself. It just wasn't really, it never appealed to me. But, you know, in terms of straight lyricism, yeah, he's not horrible. But as the GOAT, I mean, that's, you know, I really don't like to... I'll be honest, I really, really can't stand the term GOAT, greatest of all time, because it's so, everything we all know is all subjective. I mean, it is what it is, but like, I don't know.
The thing is, like, he says he's on pace to become the greatest lyricist of all time. I mean, Lupe's pretty deep in his career at this point. Like, he's not like 25 years old and he's put out like 10 albums already or something that are masterpieces. Like,
when you think, I was gonna say, when you think about Lupe Fiasco's like discography, how many actually classic records can you think of? Because I can't really think of any classic albums.
No.
Yeah, I think most people say his first album is close to being a classic, but not personally. I always thought that album was overrated myself.
Too, but if it has to be, you know, if it can be argued, then I don't think he's anywhere close to being on. Like, I'm pretty sure that he's to put in some more work, and like you said, he's been doing it for a while now. So I know like recently he's kind of taken like a different direction, kind of been a bit more like kind of weirdo rap, as far from what I heard. I haven't listened to any of his like recent.
Is that a technical term, weirdo rap?
And not the good kind of weirdo rap, like Anticon.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
I actually did like that Tetsuo and Youth. I actually did like that album. It's all right.
A lot of people actually like that album, so I don't know. Would you consider that like one of the greatest of all time?
Oh, hell no. I mean, it's not a bad album. I thought it was pretty decent, but it's not, you know, he didn't exhibit any lyricism that I was like blowing my mind and thinking this guy, maybe in 5 years, this guy is going to be one of the greatest ever.
You know, it's not like best of the decade type of album, right?
Yeah.
You know, I can't fully judge Lupe Fiasco's career. I'll be honest. I've only heard Food and Liquor and The Cool.
I've heard Food and Liquor, so that was okay, but it was nowhere near as good as Food and Liquor 1. So
yeah. I don't know.
And then that other one he put out, Lasers, that was a little bit.
That was terrible.
I actually heard a couple tracks off that, and that was the reason why I never bought it. Like, I'd bought Lupe Fiasco's first 2 records, and then I heard a couple tracks off Lasers, and I was like, no, not for me.
Yeah.
So I haven't heard anything else.
I think that's where he went. Everybody was like that. Everybody's like, what is this crap? But, you know.
Right.
Well, you can tell, though, too, because, I mean, if you look at the years of release this year, like, Food and Liquor came out in 06, The Cool was 07, and then 4 years later, he dropped Lasers. So he was conjuring up some shit right there. Like, maybe literally. Yeah. Right, so...
Yeah, I mean, with that, it's good to have confidence in yourself, but these guys that keep coming out saying that I'm the greatest or I'm on pace to be the greatest, like, you got to back this shit up. And it's not, right. For me, this is not backed up with any evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I completely agree. Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
I don't even consider Food and Liquor to be classic. You know, actually, funny story about that record. My buddy, this was years ago. I think it was about, it must have been in 2006 when the album dropped, but he gave me a call one day and he's like, yo, man, he's like, what's, he always would hit me up for recommendations on albums. He'd be like literally at the store. He's like, yo, man, I'm standing in front of the hip hop section. He's like, what's cool, man? He's like, what's cool? He's like, what should I get, man? And I'm like, I couldn't think, like, he calls me and I'm like, and I actually was listening to Lupe Fiasco at the time. And I was like, yo, man, grab Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor. And he's like, okay, cool. And he grabbed a couple other records. And so that's cool. And then I think it was about a week later, I was over at his house and he's like, dude, what the fuck, man? And I'm like, what? I'm like, what, dude? What'd I do? And he's like, what the fuck is with the recommendation of Food and Liquor? He's like, that album sucks. He hated it so much. He's like, that's the first time you've ever recommended me something that I hated. I'll never forget it, man. Oh, he was so pissed off. And I'm like, sorry, man.
That's funny. that's a good story.
I guess we can't be perfect, but that was always free. I'm actually going to tell him. I'm going to see him tonight at the party, and I'm actually going to bring up that story to him.
Yeah, ask him if he thinks Lupe is the greatest lyricist of all time.
Oh, dude, I should actually record his response and put it into the show. I should, man. I should totally get his response to it, because he's like, Lupe. I bet you the exact words that comes out of his mouth is "fuck Lupe Fiasco." Guaranteed.
I wouldn't think he's ever listened to anything after that point.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
He's brought it up a couple times, how much he hates him.
That's funny. I'm glad I brought up Lupe Fiasco just to get that story out there.
Exactly. Oh shit, that's good stuff.
Yeah, and the only other piece of news I want to touch on there is I saw that Ghostface Killah. You know, I'm into the sneakers, so he's got a collaboration with the New York sneaker shop Extra Butter and Asics, and he's releasing his own sneaker. They're going to call it the Pretty Tony. Yeah, and I guess it's inspired by, I guess Ghostface has some crazy love for leather jackets. So this sneaker is kind of inspired by leather jackets. It has zippers on it, and there's like a little belt strap in the back and has rivets on it and shit, so... If you're into sneakers, you're into Ghostface Killah, you're going to want to pick this up.
I just have this...
So it's not like a Nike or something, or like Adidas. It's going to be by what company you said?
Asics.
Oh, Asics, right.
Well, they make usually comfy ass shoes.
Yeah, they said the price tag is $180. That's US. So Canadian, I think that would probably be around $240, something like that, probably.
240,000, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Plus shipping.
But that's
plus shipping.
Plus shipping. Plus like 100 shipping to Canada, I'm sure.
Yeah. 180.
Yeah, and they
American,
release.
wow.
Yeah, so they're nice though. They're like it's like premium materials. It's like really nice leather and everything. So you know, it's probably
for sneakers. Don't Jordans go for like hundreds and hundreds, just like that, even more? Like
new Jordans are released in the States. They're $190. So. And usually the materials on those are usually trash in a lot of them. So
well, they don't make Jordans like they used to, right?
No,
I think they used to make Jordans actually pretty quality, but they know that they don't have to make them quality because they're going to sell anyways. They're fucking Jordans.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, so are
but
you?
Yeah, if you want to be on the lookout for these, they're releasing online on November 7th. But if you're somebody that's going to Complex Con, they'll be available November 4th and 5th.
I'm going to go buy all the pairs and resell them on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
First day.
Sneakerheads are insane. Like, insane with their shoes, man.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Oh, I assume these will probably sell out. I don't know how limited they'll be in releasing, but I'm pretty sure these will sell out.
Let me ask you something, man. Are these going to have a giant golden eagle attached to them at any point?
No, I don't think so.
See, when I think of like Ghostface, like over the years, man, like he's worn some of the most gaudy shit I've ever seen, man. Like I don't know if he does it as a joke or, I mean, it was kind of inspired, I guess, by Slick Rick, I would say. I always thought, like, when I looked at him, I'm like, it's kind of Slick Rick influenced a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But, like, remember that eagle bracelet thing that he was wearing? How do you navigate in life with that? I would be so nervous to actually either take out my own eye or someone else's just by, because I'm a hand talker. Like, if you guys watch my videos, I always move my hands. Like, I would literally take someone's eye out with that thing.
Yeah, you're just swiping people.
I always wanted to know how heavy it was too, because it looks like it's obviously bulky because it sits about 8 inches off his wrist. Like, come on, man! What is this? It's like the Flavor Flav of bracelets, you know? It's
yeah,
I don't know, man, but
yeah, if you want to check these sneakers out, they're online as well. You can find them online.
Are you planning on grabbing a pair of those?
No, I personally they aren't really something that I would wear.
Yeah. Do you actually wear the shoes that you buy?
Oh yeah, I wear all my shoes. I don't collect them just to sit there. I mean, I take good care of them, but I do wear them all.
Yeah, you got all those shoe products and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, like all that crazy stuff. Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. I just don't have the patience to sit there and clean my shoes like all the time. I do.
You know what's funny? But last Sunday, I was watching The Walking Dead. The new season started, and in between commercials and just when they're basically not a lot of action going on, I was cleaning my sneakers. I cleaned 3 pairs of sneakers in one episode.
Wow. Damn, you got that shit down to a science, man. It would take me probably half the season to clean one pair.
Yeah, well, they weren't really dirty because I do clean them regularly, but you know. But it was funny. I sent a picture to my buddy. I was like, "Yeah, this is how exciting this episode of The Walking Dead is. I got 3 goddamn pairs of sneakers clean."
Yeah, one of those dialogue-filled episodes, side story subplots.
It was all right. I mean, there was action, but you know how they do it. They just talk. Yeah. They talk and build it up and build it up and talk and build it up.
Yeah, I've only watched the first episode of season 7. I'm just because I always wait for the Blu-ray sets to come out. So then I'm weird like that.
Yep.
So, but anyways, yeah. Is that all you got for the news there? Do you have anything?
That's it, man. That's all I have.
Do you have anything, Tom?
No.
Okay.
Nothing today.
Okay, so we'll get into a little bit of tidbits here, and this is something I think that definitely Jay wanted to talk about. The new Wu-Tang record.
Wu-Tang?
I'm going to put a huge ass question mark there. I literally have this written down as new Wu album question mark. Okay, now
Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
who is the Wu-Tang at this point?
The Wu-Tang. Yes, that's a good one. I really, that's good. It's clever. So, okay. I'm a fan of obviously marketing, and I get excited when things are being promoted, stuff like new Wu-Tang records.
Yeah.
This album was 100% marketed as a brand new Wu-Tang Clan album. We all knew the production was not being done by the RZA. Fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, RZA hasn't produced much on the last couple records anyways. So it wasn't, and let's face it here, a lot of people were actually pretty excited about this because the RZA's production hasn't been the greatest over the years with the Wu stuff. Yeah. So having some fresh beats, especially from a man called Mathematics, which, he's been around forever. He's been a Wu-Tang affiliate forever. He's dropped lots of beats with many guys, instrumental records, what have it, and other compilation records. Now, upon release, this album, quote unquote quotation, you guys can't see me right now, but I'm moving my fingers. This is got to be one of the most disappointing things in terms of not the quality of the music, but in terms of this not being an actual Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I feel like we got lied to, man. Like 100% got lied to here. Like this album is a Mathematics producer record. It's false advertising. I don't know. I understand from a promotional standpoint here. I mean, if you put the Wu name on there, it's obviously going to sell a lot more than Mathematics because let's face it, it's not a household name. You probably recognize them from some credits and things like that, but to sell this record, it has to be under the Wu-Tang title, and I understand that. But why couldn't it just be noted? This is obviously a producer record. If you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically where a producer produces a bunch of songs. They have features on every song, and that's what it is. I mean, for Christ's sake, man, this album has, and I have no problem with this, by the way. It has, a few songs with Redman on it. There's even the first thing I saw was, the track listing, and I was like, okay, this isn't cool. Right away, I was like, there's a solo song by Street Life on here. He is not a member of the clan. He's an affiliate.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, okay, so I listened to the record. I'm like, this is a goddamn Mathematics producer record. Dude, very, very disappointing. I don't know the whole story. I know, apparently Tom was saying that U-God has some beef right now with the clan, so he's actually not featured on this at all.
Yeah.
The Genius is also vacant from this compilation. The Genius, there's no verses from the Genius on here.
I mean, if you don't have the Genius on there, I mean, you got, whatever, but the Genius is one of the major members of Wu-Tang.
Yeah, and and it's just really, it's obviously set up like a producer album. Lesson Learned, featuring Inspector Deck and Redman. Fast and Furious, Hugh Hef and Raekwon. There's a Method Man solo track on here. There's a Ghost, there's a bunch of skits. Method Man appears on here 5 times. He's the most prolific MC on here. So he was probably obviously hanging around the studio with Mathematics going, hey man, let's do some shit.
I will say this though. Method Man may be on this album more than Method Man was on his own solo album he just put out.
I knew someone was going to bring that joke up.
And I'm the one to do it.
Dude, it's so true though, man. He almost spits more verses on this compilation than he does on his last record. Like,
yeah, there's less features on this.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Like,
so bad.
So all in all, man, I was like, you know, even before I even pressed play on this thing, I was like, holy shit, dude, this is not cool, man. I'm like, this isn't a Wu-Tang record. This is fucked. So then I kind of put that aside and I listened to the album, and to my amazement, it was actually pretty good. I mean, this is some of the most memorable, you know, Wu affiliated music that they've done in a while. I mean, this is the first song on the album is better than Method Man's entire last album combined. You know, like I thought Mathematics did a great job with the beats on here. Everyone's cool. Like, everyone does a great job, but it's not a Wu-Tang record. Very disappointing.
Yeah, when you go in expecting to hear a Wu-Tang record, you're very, very, very disappointed with what you get. Exactly. So, as long as you
it's false advertising, basically. I mean, you know.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm still a little bit hurt by it, to be honest, but I mean, I was so jacked up for a new Wu record. I was like, oh, fucking cool, man. Like, awesome. Like, you know, it just kind of came out of left field, but now I see why. Right? Because it wasn't actually like a group record, you know? I mean, you're missing members here, and like, let's face it, the Riz is only on here and like a couple times, you know, mostly on the intros and skits and shit. It's like so weird, man. So weird.
I was really in that first track drop with whatever, maybe it's not the first one, the one that had Redman. And then I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a dope Wu-Tang project, you know, because that track was pretty damn good. I just heard snippets of it. And then before I actually knew what the album was, anything about the album, I'm like, this is going to be awesome. And it drops. And then I was like, wow.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man. So disappointing.
So disappointing, man. But I mean, all in all, like with it said, though, if you kind of put, you know, all those things aside, it's actually pretty good. I mean, what did you guys think of the actual material within the record? Because I thought I could have done without some of the skits and shit. I mean, there's 18 tracks. I think there's only something like 13 songs or 11 songs on the whole record.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually quite short in terms of actual songs.
But the songs that are on there are pretty damn good, I think. Rap-wise, like you said, it's some of the best material that we've heard from some of these guys in a long time. Method Man, for sure.
Method Man definitely, he sounds great on this. And I like Redman on here as well, of course. But yeah, they're good songs. They're definitely an improvement from their last effort. Which was an actual Wu-Tang album, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I would honestly like to find out why the Genius wasn't included even for one verse.
Yeah, I was curious about that as well.
If you're going to try and sell the record as a Wu-Tang record, even after, you know, people kind of get the hint that this is not, I mean, even having the majority of the members on there would probably be a good idea. It's understandable if U-God is beefing with the RZA or whatever the fuck is going on with U-God. U-God's just a weird dude in general. I think he's bipolar, actually. I think it actually is. And
I think,
yeah, so he kind of wigs out all the time and shit. And this has been going on for apparently ever since the beginning of the Wu-Tang. But yeah, man. I mean, being such a big Genius fan, that was the most notable thing for me. I was like sad faced, dude. I was like, really? Not even one Genius verse? That was the kill. That was the straw that broke the camel's dick, man. I was like, Jesus.
Well, the thing is, from what I heard, RZA specifically asked Mathematics to produce this album, like pretty much, you know, solely. So I don't know if he just like was working on something else or just didn't want to do it. But I don't. He like specifically asked, from what I read, like specifically asked him to do it. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe he was in his mind that that's what he wanted, or I don't know. I don't know why. It didn't say why. It just said specifically that's what he wanted. And like I was trying to find some information why Jizza wasn't on it, and there was nothing. Like you said. So I don't know. There's like no info anywhere about why he wasn't on it. So maybe we have to go to the source himself.
Hey, you know what? I just looked it up on Wikipedia, and they don't even reference Jizza not being on here, which is kind of weird. They just say U-God is the only member that wasn't on here, and they said the group name was shortened to Wu-Tang to mark the fact that the album features all Wu-Tang Clan members except U-God due to his legal issues with the group over royalties.
Yeah, he sued RZA. I forgot about that. He sued RZA for like a couple million back in 2016. So that's the issue that they had, actually.
Yeah, but they don't even reference Jizza on here.
It's like that's so crazy. Was he like kicked out of the group or what?
I don't know. Maybe he's no longer a member of Wu-Tang or Wu-Tang Clan or anything. I don't know.
someone tell him?
There's no way. There's absolutely no way, man. If the Genius was no longer a member of the clan, that would be big news. Yeah, let's face it, man. He's one of the more popular members. He's probably one of the more prolific guys from there. I mean, give me a break, man. I bet you what happened is the person that wrote this down, there was probably a spelling mistake within the track listing, and it listed the Genius as being on one of the tracks instead of the RZA. Yeah, they mistaken the R as a G, and it was like, oh, the Jizza. Oh, we'll write this out. The only member missing is the U God. I don't know. That's very strange. They obviously did not listen to the record. It's pretty obvious that the Genius is not on the album. Yeah. So,
goddamn Wikipedia.
Yeah, but I mean that's that's the reason why you can't use it as a viable source, because it's just written by people like me and you. People make mistakes, and I've actually heard of people specifically going in and changing information just to fuck with people.
Oh yeah, they do that all the time.
Well, I've actually read in other places that the reason that it's not Wu-Tang Clan, it's just called Wu-Tang. Like Jason said, it's just specifically that You God wasn't on the album, just You God. And I mean, I read that like not on Wikipedia, on like other places, a couple websites actually. So you're getting this information from somewhere.
Yeah, that's weird, man. I don't know.
Maybe they dropped Clan when it's just, it's not all the members are just Wu-Tang, and it's
maybe this is their subtle way of saying that this is not an official Wu-Tang Clan album by calling it Wu-Tang, and that was their way of being subtle. And their way of justifying that they were mismarketing this album and lying to the fan base.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is.
It is
very damn stuff.
We just figured it out.
Yeah. But at this point, I'm more concerned. Where the hell is the Genius?
Seriously,
where is he? Where's the guy? Where is he?
Yeah, dude. Like, he's supposed to be dropping that album. Apparently, it's like, I mean, from the stuff that I read. I don't know what the word is on it now, but he is either done the album or it's in post-production. I don't know. So maybe he's just been too busy working on this record, because I know he was touring, like doing speeches in universities and shit. And he was talking, because this new album is all about like space and shit, right?
Yeah. And with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I know he went like talked to like Neil deGrasse Tyson for like however long.
Yeah, he's doing like TED Talks and shit.
Yeah, right. He's like, it's like professor shit, like he was like learning. He's been learning about this stuff for years and years, and he wanted to write this really deep kind of space record. And I remember the first the first replies to this from the fans were like, are you like, the Genius is doing space shit? That's totally whack. Like, people are just like judging it right away. I'm like, man, he's been kind of doing this stuff for a long time. He always digs deeper into, he doesn't use the usual suspects in his rhymes all the time. I mean, this doesn't really surprise me that he's doing this, because he's the fucking Genius.
Yeah, exactly. Hence his name for a reason.
Right? He's not. I mean, like the RZA said, he is actually legitimately the smartest guy he knows.
Yeah.
Right? So this kind of makes sense that he would go out of this realm and do something very spacey. It's not like the first time a space record's ever been done. I mean, fucking Kool Keith has done this shit. I mean, it's been done. But he's digging real deep into getting into black holes and supernovas and whatever else is up there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Excited to hear it. I think this will be super dope. So
I can't wait. I cannot wait, man. I'm such a fan of the Genius. Like, I think it's really cool and different. This is what hip hop's about. It's about, being creative, and, you don't always have to be 100% different, but this is creativeness, Yeah.
I just looked on the Jizz's Twitter, and apparently he's touring right now. He's in Australia, New Zealand. I guess he was just in Colorado, so he's still touring actively, I guess, as we speak, with Killah Priest apparently somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, so, I mean, he's out there doing his thing, so I don't know, man.
That's fucking awesome, man. See, going back to the tours, man, people are always just out on tour, and they're never touring around here. It's always somewhere else cool. Yeah. Australia seems to be a hot spot, though. Man, a lot of people seem to go to Australia.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, it seems to be a really, really big place for hip-hop, especially. A lot of big hip-hop acts go there.
Yeah. Probably because the weather's nice.
I'll have to email this email right here on his Twitter page to inquire about why the Jizz is missing from the last project.
Yeah, let him know. We need to know where he is and why he's not on that album.
It is a little bit concerning.
The email is management@jizzadarkmatter.com. So I'm expecting that damn album, Jizza. Come on.
Yeah, Dark Matter. That's what it is.
Have a name in your email, so come on now. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm curious. Is this website actually up? Does it go to a thing? Nope, site cannot be reached. Oh, well.
Oh, that's like me clicking on underground hip hop. Cannot find server. Fuck.
Never mind. Just kidding.
Just direct message him on Twitter. See if he gets back to you.
From Disposable Arts Podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it all official. Yeah, we're trying to contact you, Genius. We're from the Disposable Arts Podcast. We need to know your whereabouts and why you were not on the last Wu-Tang album.
Very, very important for the culture.
We need an update.
Oh man.
Yeah. All right. So, did you guys happen to watch the BET Cypher, the one with Eminem?
I only saw Eminem.
Yeah, I think you would almost be forced to watch that at this point. It was everywhere. That thing went crazy on the internet.
Oh man, like yeah, the video was posted on YouTube and it had like a couple million views within like a couple hours. It was ridiculous. It was like Kendrick Lamar status, man. It was ridiculous. But
yeah.
So that's pretty much what I guess I did. I watched the Eminem a cappella and I watched a couple of the other acts. I think it was like Conway and West Side Gun, and I can't remember everybody that was involved with it, but what were your guys' thoughts on the? I don't really want to talk about the other ciphers. I didn't really care for them that much, but the Eminem acapella. I don't really understand why he has to do the acapella thing. I think it's kind of played out a little bit. But what did you guys think of the content and the intent? The content and the intent of this cipher. You know, I hate that I call them ciphers, but
yeah,
because he's not freestyling. He's definitely not. But I mean, my initial thoughts when I clicked on it, I was like, okay. I knew going into it, I was like, man, this is probably going to be a little bit politically charged. And holy shit, man, was I ever right? Like, I mean, that was just straight on blast to Trump and everything. I was like, okay. And then, you know, I'm about 4 minutes into it, and I'm like, okay. There has to be a bigger picture here. It's why not use this award show as, your own marketing tool? And I'm like, man, M's got to have a new record coming out here. And was it not kind of announced right after?
Yeah.
it was so fucking obvious, man.
There was a reason.
I mean, why not take this opportunity to do free promotion by doing a cipher? It looks, what it looks like to everybody is that he's doing the cipher that he always does, but he's actually promoting a record. But that's another conversation. But what did you guys actually think of his cipher, though?
Thought it was boring, personally.
I thought it was actually pretty cringeworthy.
Yep.
I like Eminem, man, and I'm just being honest. Like, I thought it was cringeworthy to the point of being corny. Like, I'm all for supporting and saying fuck Trump. And I mean, honestly, like, I'm not a fan. And, the Kaepernick stuff, like, I support. And, like, I understand where everyone's coming from with this stuff. Like, I completely 100% understand, the points of what these people are trying to make and stuff. But but there was one point when he was like, put your hands in the air for Kaepernick. And I was like, oh, my God. Like, it just came off as being so corny, man.
That part made me cringe. I gotta say, I didn't think it was, I guess, as terrible as you guys, but he could have done a hell of a lot better. Like, he just, I wish he didn't do it, because it was just bad. Could have done a hell of a lot better. So.
Yeah, and then everybody online is saying, oh, he's challenging his fans. Like, if you don't like him, fuck you. If you're with Trump, like, it's like, so what? What does that, who cares? Like, Eminem has so many fans, he doesn't care if he loses a couple hundred fans because they like Trump. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. It's like, everybody blows that shit out of proportion. It's just ridiculous.
I don't know why everyone's taking it so damn personal. I mean, for Christ's sake, dude. I mean, right after the cipher happened, I was, online, and I decided to go on. I never go on general Facebook. That's, you guys know that. But I decided to after, because I wanted to read I knew there was going to be posts of it, right? And like, I literally clicked onto it, and the first thing I read was by a guy I'm friends with, actually. And he was like, I used to be an Eminem fan until 5 minutes ago.
Nice.
And so I messaged, I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Why are you taking this shit so personal, man? I'm like, that's ridiculous. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you otherwise, but I'm just like, you're taking it so personal, dude. So personal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just standing up for what he believes. Everyone does it. It's no different than the Trump supporters. They stand up for and support him. It's the same thing. It works both ways. You know?
Yeah, it's just a big game, man. It's just
right.
I'm like,
that's all it is.
You're taking this way too personally, because at the core of what just happened on this Cypher was not about. I mean, it was. I mean, there was intent to, you know, still get a point across and bash Trump a little bit and stand up for what he believes in. But the main point of this, the heart of this Cypher, was to fucking promote his new album, was to put Eminem back in people's ears and eyes.
Right.
To get him back
Right.
in people's conversations, to have social media blow the fuck up. Why not do something controversial? Yeah. Eminem's known for doing controversial stuff. He's been doing it forever. Remember when he performed with fucking Elton John? I mean, it's publicity stunts, man. It works. He's a master of marketing. He's like the Marilyn Manson of fucking hip hop. He's great.
Yeah,
at
the guy's not stupid. He's not stupid.
He knows exactly. There's intent, and it's smart. He did it subtly enough. I mean, not that subtle. I mean, I figured it out right away. I was like, he's got to have a record. I mean, just the way he was coming out, it was so aggressive and just like, you know, he's making these just brutal, honest points and things, and I'm like, okay, there's something up here. And then, you know, Rosenberg, he goes and, you know, what was he promoting? What was it, Conway's new record or something like that? But if you look in the background of the picture, there's like there's actually a poster, and it's got this turned around E and things. Did you guys see that thing on Instagram that was floating around?
No.
I think it was Paul Rosenberg. He was promoting the new record. I can't remember who it was. It's like Wesley. It's one of the guys from Shady or whatever. But he took a picture of the album. Maybe it's Machine Gun Kelly, I think. Anyways, I don't know. But anyways,
Machine Gun Kelly,
or whatever the guy is. Not Machine Gun Kelly. Who's the dude that's part of Shady?
Conway the Machine and West Side Gun.
No,
there you go.
It's like another. Anyways, he takes a picture of this album that's coming out, and in the background there's a poster, and it's got this turnaround E and shit. And then that was just, you know, kind of the big hint that you know, there's the Eminem record kind of thing, right?
Right.
So
yeah,
clever.
So so I mean, it was obvious that it's coming, but you know, I mean, all in all, I didn't. I really wish that they put some beats to that shit, man. That acapella stuff was beyond cringeworthy, man. At least they used beats for the other cats.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just thought the whole it's cool he did it, whatever. But people were just going insane about it, either for him or against him. And it's like, why are you people losing your damn minds?
Making too big of a deal about it.
Yeah.
All it was. He just wanted to get people riled up, and he did.
Yeah.
I guess he got what he wanted.
Yep.
It's almost too easy to stir up the shit, man.
It is, man. That's exactly what it is. It is too easy to get people fired up about politics. It's like, it's just any celebrity says anything, and people are off.
Oh yeah. It's crazy, man.
You know what the kind of stupid part is, that he's like, yeah, if you're not with me, whatever, if you're with Trump. But more than like half of the country voted for Trump, so you're gonna have a lot of people not with you there, Eminem. Sorry, if that's the way you're going.
Well, he got more than half of the votes of the people that actually did vote. They also did have a record low of voters this year too, because there's a lot of people that were undecided, either Hillary Clinton or you know, fucking. But I mean, the point
that's a tough choice right there.
The point stands, though. I mean, what Eminem did worked at the end of the day. You know,
it worked.
So I mean, he's already probably sold 1 million records, and he hasn't even dropped the name of the record yet, or even dropped a single. You know, it's ridiculous. So I mean, to sell 1 million in today's world, that's pretty damn clever shit. Let's face it.
Yeah, definitely.
But he didn't need all that. Eminem being Eminem, he could have came out and still made his money, sold whatever, just by dropping a record, because it's Eminem. So.
You know, I kind of wish that M had have just dropped a record. I think that would have been very noble, just to, you know, put something out. You know, it says a lot about his confidence level too. It's like, you know, I can put out an album and still be relevant. And that was the other thing that was bugging me too. Everyone's like, oh, you know, it's just a big publicity stunt to, you know, Eminem hasn't been relevant for so many years, so he just has to come out and say the most blasphemy shit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man. Of course you're going to say that, man. It makes total sense. But I mean, like, look at Jay-Z, man. He kind of subtly dropped 444, you know, and he's, you know, theoretically one of the biggest MCs even in today's world, you know. I mean, fan base and record sales wise and whatever, however you want to call it. But, you know, he puts out an album that is definitely for adults. It's not for 15-year-old boys. And he just drops the album. You know, I thought that was pretty cool. And, you know, so I you know, M could do the same thing and probably still sell pretty well, but.
Oh, yeah. That's what he should have done. Was just drop the album. That would have been it. But what he wanted to do, so whatever. Kind of a waste of time, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
It's the questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Come on. The questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. It's the questions. Yeah. The questions. It's the questions, y'all. It's the questions. It's the questions. Dig it. The questions. It's the questions, boy. It's the questions. Yo.
We are going to get into some questions from the listeners here. Let's just jump right into this here. First off, I do want to thank everybody for dropping some questions and some lines to us. We appreciate it. First up here, Alan Nutton. The guy's name, I love that name, man. It's like Alan Nutton. He asks, who is your favorite UK hip-hop act, current or old school? Born in the UK, dudes like Doom and Slick Rick don't count. And then he goes on to say that his favorites are either Hijack or Gunshot, and it's both from the early 90s. So, yeah, man. So who's your guys' favorite UK acts, group, MC?
Well, I'm not really okay, go ahead, Jason. You can go.
I was just going to say, like, personally, I don't really pay that much attention to UK hip-hop. The only guys that came to mind right away was Scroobius Pip, and a guy mainly known for battle rap, but he's making some songs now with Shoddy Horror.
Yeah. Tom?
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm not, like, to be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of UK hip-hop. It's the accent, man. I can't get over the accent. I just something about it. But there's some guys I do love, like Lewis Parker is one, which I don't think he really has an accent when he raps, but there's a guy called Stig of the Dump, which I love, or just Stig.
Yeah.
Then there's like some older guys like Jest. Jest has been around for a while, like his High Plains Drifter EPs, Return Drifters are both dope albums. Brain Tax, they're like early 2000s group, I think, which I love. Task Force, kind of same vein, kind of more underground stuff, but Ferb T, Casimir. Yeah, so guys like that, kind of gets more underground indie stuff, but all dope.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat too. It's funny, like, you know, I think I know a lot more other European country hip-hop more than I know the UK. It's weird. It doesn't get promoted over here enough, and it's actually kind of hard to find at times. You know,
yeah, like, it really is.
It's so strange. But the one cat that came to my mind was Funky DL.
I forgot all about Funky DL, right? I was going to say, I was just listening to him too earlier today. So.
Yeah, I literally snap answered this. I was like, hey, it has to be, if I can't answer Slick Rick or Doom, which I believe Doom moved over to the America when he was super young anyways. Like, I don't think they actually did music in the UK, did they? Either one of those cats?
I
don't believe so. No.
Yeah, no. So I think all their stuff is just straight American based music. But yeah, Funky DL for me, man. This guy, in my opinion, if we were to answer a question of the most prolific, underrated MCs of all time, Funky DL has to be on this list, man. This guy has an insane discography. He's been around since '97. He came up, in the early '90s, '94, '95. He was getting kind of famous over there. Or I mean in the underground scene, but this guy has dropped like 20 albums. He does instrumental projects. He's fucking dope, dude. His stuff still sounds fresh as it did 20 years ago. It's crazy. And nobody talks about Funky DL. It's actually mind-blowing to me.
You talk about him a lot.
I do. I never hear him mentioned. Maybe it is because he is from the UK. I don't know. Maybe his stuff is just not being heard over here for whatever reasons. I'll be honest, man. Like, I had a hard time obtaining Funky DL albums for a long time. Now it's easier now that the internet's gone so worldwide that you can pretty much find anything that you're looking for. Yeah, but back in the day, like in the early 2000s, like hearing Funky DL on mixtapes or on radio shows that some random DJ that actually had stuff to play, I was like, damn, where do I get this? And I couldn't find it, man. I couldn't find his records, man. Like, it was so heartbreaking. And now you can. And a lot of his early stuff is still readily available. It might be out of print, but you can still get it for really cheap. But I highly recommend Funky DL to people that like really conscious, kind of jazzy hip hop, a little bit softer boom bap. Like, it's really, really cool, and he's clean, and I don't know, there's something about him that just, and I don't know what it is, but Funky DL doesn't have like an overpowering accent to me either. I don't know what it is. You just really don't hear it. It's really strange, and I think maybe some people don't even know anything about him. You know, like it's kind of strange. Like, I don't know, but
yeah, a lot of people from UK actually don't know who he is. It's crazy. Like, a lot of people I come across, and I can't believe forgot to mention him, but he's one of my favorites too, for sure. Ever since I've heard like one of his first records back in the early. He was still young too. I think he was just like 18 or 19 when he was 18 when he came out with his first record. And it was like so dope to me too. Like, he does a lot of like instrumental stuff too. Like, he did a like an all instrumental Marauding at Midnight, like a tribute to Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah,
like all instrumentals. That was a really dope, and we like redid their instrumentals. He does a lot of
Marauding at Midnight.
Yeah. He does a lot of stuff like that too. Yeah, he basically like just one of those guys, and that just has his own lane. Like, basically has his own like empire, pretty much. He's put out so much. So many records, like, as of now, and he's like, he just, I guess, does live shows and just like sells records, does it all on his own. I remember emailing him like years back when I first heard about him. Like, I got his email from like, I think it was like one of his first like 12 inches or something I got, and like, I'm like, dude, how do I get your stuff? Like, it's so hard to find here. I remember I was able to pick up the first record. Classic Was the Day, and when I heard that, I was like, oh, this is so dope. I need more. I started buying like everything I heard from him. So yeah, like, I had to get it from him too. Like, he sent it to me from the UK. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah, I just have a really hard time fathoming the fact that the UK hip hop heads don't really know who Funky DL is. It kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy,
considering how big of a body of work that he has, you think his stuff would get played on? Because I know there is independent, like there is, underground radio stations in the UK, and the UK actually has a pretty big scene. I'm just really blown away by how he isn't bigger, because he's been around so long. You think that he would be known to the point of, prolonging his career. You would have some type of local fan base, to keep doing this stuff. But
it seems to be more well known in like the US and Canada and Europe for some reason. I don't know why that is, but yeah, man.
It'd be interesting to ask Alan if if he heard of Funky DL, or if he's aware of him, or if he knows anybody that's into him.
Mm-hmm. He started his own label back in '97 too, and like he's putting out his own albums ever since then. So he's doing something right, Yeah. So it's crazy that that I just haven't like mentioned him, but I don't know. Let us know.
Yeah, man. It was Utmost Records, I believe, was the name of the record company that he started. He put out,
and then it was Washington Classics. He changed it to Washington Classics, I believe, right after that.
Yeah, exactly. But very consistent artist, though. This guy has really never changed his style. Like, he's not reinventing anything when he does stuff. But I mean, his stuff is always fresh, and it's different. Like, I mean, it's still fresh enough and different enough to keep listening to this shit. Like, I just cannot believe how much stuff this guy does. It blows my mind. Like, to produce and rap and do everything that you do it's time consuming. Like, this guy just does tribute fucking instrumental records to like Tribe Called Quest, and then just comes back and does like a record. It's so bizarre to me. So bizarre.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing. He's too busy making music to actually promote himself better.
Maybe
he's got to have a like 30 records or something. He's got to be up there with like Mocha Only. Mocha's probably like that.
Nobody in the history of the world has more albums than Mocha. Mocha Only literally has over 120 albums. It's insane.
Yeah, I know. He just put out a new one like a little while ago as well. It's like, oh my god, it's hilarious.
Crazy. But he's up there too. And he like you said, he's always done like the same style too. It's always like that kind of jazzy, laid back type of hip hop, and it works for him,
Yeah.
Like this. And he's not just like rapping out bullshit too. It's usually just like real shit. So
yeah, it is, man. I was actually listening to Heartfelt Integrity yesterday, in between doing some research for the reviews, but the album is just so good. It's the second album from '98. It's from that that kind of clusterfucked P. Diddy era.
I knew it was coming.
But this shit, man, holy Christ, man, it's really fresh. It's awesome. Really good stuff. So if you've never heard of Funky DL, just go and seek out something. His material's probably really easy to find online.
It's all on on Bandcamp. You can listen to all this stuff for free on Bandcamp, by the way.
You know what? I always forget to promote Bandcamp, man, because that's a really good place, and that's a great place to find indie artists like, Jazz Spastics. Like, I just came across those guys and, ordered the shit from Bandcamp, which I still haven't actually got the record. I ordered it like 4 weeks ago, but that's typical shit.
Sometimes the thing about ordering merch from Bandcamp is sometimes you have to like get on them and like email them yourself, because sometimes like I don't know what it is, but their system is like screwy where the people don't always get the orders, or like they don't always get the addresses right, so you got to like get on it. But
it's happened to me a couple times. I had a couple albums actually lost, and they resent them, and then the ones that I originally ordered showed up like 8 months later or something. It was crazy, dude. It was so bizarre. So I had these 2 copies, man. It was random. But
I've had that same thing happen to me, so I get it, man. They got to come up with like a better system, but overall, the website's great. So it's a good tool for those indie artists for sure. Yeah. Okay, so that was Alan Nutton's question there. Then we got one here from Cork Yapot. See, I can never pronounce this guy's name properly. I think he's actually an artist himself. I know. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so he asked, who are the most consistent artists in rap? Which current rap albums have a potential classic status? Which MC's life should be brought to the big screen, as in like biopics and stuff? If we're talking about like, just kind of relating to the most consistent in, up to modern times, I say it over and over again. I mean, I've said it a million times, but I think People Under the Stairs are not only one of the most current consistent groups, but of all time. I don't think there's a group out there that has put out 10 straight good albums. They don't even have a miss. Like, name me another hip-hop group that's even put out 10 albums, let alone having 10, solid records.
Right.
I think that's one of the most amazing runs ever. I mean, it's truly, truly amazing. I think Mass Ace is another guy, that has been really consistent throughout his career and stuff. I don't know, man. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on consistency? I mean, it's always hard because I can't name people like Nas and shit because they've had blunders. They've had a lot of, and there's a lot of great artists out there that have had blunders in their careers and downtimes. And consistent can be kind of a subjective word, though. I mean, it depends on how you look at what consistent is.
Right.
But
I would say Cunning Linguist for me. I've always been one that have always put out quality work, and they've have a decent records. They probably have about like, I don't know, maybe 6 records by now, 7. So they're getting up there, and it's always been good. I haven't heard anything bad. They're like solo projects or anything have all been quality to me. So
good answer. I agree with that. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, that's one that I had. And of course, Smash Days, he's one of my favorites, if not my favorite. So definitely him. Another one I thought was The Roots. They're pretty damn consistent.
Oh, yeah, great one. Well, I guess I would have to mention Funky DL in this too.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
It's Funky DL too, of course.
Like,
I mean, if anyone's consistent, he's probably the most consistent single dude out there. So I mean, if we're not talking about groups, then for sure Funky DL. So.
Yeah, DL's flying under the radar.
This guy does multiple projects a year and stays consistent throughout the years. It's insane. I don't know how he does it.
That should be the title of his next album, Under the Radar.
It should be. Yeah, man.
I mean, Mocha Only has never really dropped anything that I haven't liked. So I don't know. He has a lot of albums, and they're all pretty much the same thing though. So it's like I could see how people would get bored of him, but I haven't heard anything from him that I haven't liked yet. So I mean,
he's like that dude's supercharged, man. Like I've met Mocha a few times, and he's like a really odd dude too. Like he's very, I wouldn't say, he almost has like an introverted kind of appeal to him, but he's always kind of out. He kind of sticks to himself and does his thing. Like when I was talking to Abstract Rude one time, and he said that Mocha Only is by far the most musical person he's ever met in his entire life. He said he's never worked with anybody that is so knowledgeable about everything. Like he lives and breathes music. Like he said he's constantly working on music in every situation. He could be out for dinner with his girlfriend, he's working on a song. Like he just never stops. And it shows within his, his discography and like the amount of official releases that this guy has. Like all he does is do records. It's insane. And you got to remember, like he's producing pretty much all of his own stuff and he's rapping. It's crazy.
It's insane. Yeah, it really is insane. So.
Fucking blows my mind, man. But yeah, no. Which current rap albums have a potential classic status? You know, I have a hard time linking the word classic with modern. You know,
yeah, same.
I think time does things well.
Yeah.
Right.
The first album that came to my mind for myself for like more modern stuff was Apollo Brown and O.C.'s Trophies. I think, I mean, it's one of my favorite albums, but I think, you know, I'm not going to call it classic right now, but you give it 10 years and you look back to it, I think it's going to be, I mean, at least to myself anyways, it's going to be one of those notable records that I go back, and I still do all the time. I listen to that record constantly. I think it's almost perfect. I think it's amazing, and I think it has the potential, but just, I don't know what it is. A lot of people seem to have not heard that album. I don't know what it is. Too early in Apollo Brown's career. It's fucking strange.
It's just not something that, you know, not enough people, like you said, have heard it. So it's definitely a personal classic, but
personal, yes.
As far as the general public, definitely not.
Yeah,
that's the problem with this question. I mean, as far as current, like, what do you consider current? Like within the last 5 years or
and last 20? Like, is 2003 current? You know, is that still current? Like,
basically, the only right answer to this question is everything that Kendrick has put out.
I knew it was coming.
yeah,
got to be the one that brings up Kendrick. But I kind of, when someone uses the words like modern, I just basically I try to put a wall on the year 2000 as being current. You know,
yeah.
It's kind of like with horror film. Like if I'm doing like say like my 31 Days of Horror that I'm doing on my channel right now. Like if I'm doing an older film, I consider to be pre-2000. Anything post-2000 is kind of like a modern thing to me, right? Yeah. So that's how I do it with there, because it's like a new millennium. It's kind of like a new start, and you know it seems still new enough, you know. So I kind of that's the way I do. I'm not saying that's right. I just put 2000 on up is kind of modern to me. So
yeah, I would probably say someone like the Y Society album, Travel at Your Own Pace. That's like a classic to me, because I love that. I've been listening to that ever since 2007, and like I can't, like, every time I put it on, I just feel great. It's so refreshing every time. So that would be like one for me. That would consider a classic. So.
I just had this conversation with my buddy the other day. He because we were talking about Damu and shit, and he's never actually heard that album before, and I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like I never, you know, put it on, or like I never heard the record. I'm like, that's so crazy. But it got brought up because it just got re-released on vinyl. Yeah, and it's got a different cover, and it's got some bonus songs and stuff on there. And he's like, and he's bringing in a copy. He's like, oh, I can't wait to get it and stuff. And I'm like, man, it's fucking classic. I even used the word classic too in the conversation. I'm like, it's such a good record, and that's another one I feel that not a lot of people have heard. I don't know why.
Exactly.
It's just never gets mentioned. It's very strange, and I was like, you know what? Maybe it's because it doesn't look like a hip-hop record. You look at the album cover, and it doesn't even look like a hip-hop record. Maybe people just dismissed it because of what it looked like. They were literally judging, you know, a book by its cover. I don't know. It's always hard.
It's not readily available either, though. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of
I'm not surprised, though, because that whole group of, like, Damu, the Fudge Monk, and, like, all those guys aren't really even all that well-known. Even, like, the underground, you know, they're not, like, you know, well-known underground dudes. So that's not as surprising to me as, like, other dudes, so.
Yeah, I agree, actually.
Yeah.
And Insight, man, well, we've talked about Damu and Insight, you know, recently on this show, and we know. Yeah,
I was just going to ask, did your buddy hear that album, the Ears Hear Spears?
Yeah, man. He actually, I showed him like a couple songs, and he ordered the vinyl. That's actually where I got my vinyl from too. He ordered 2 copies.
Oh, nice.
And so, because I grabbed the CDs, and at first I grabbed the CD, and then he grabbed the vinyl. But he actually brought in he's got the cassette too. He's all into buying tapes right now. Like he brings in a lot of brand new tapes and stuff. He orders a lot of shit through Fat Beats, through his store, and whatnot. And he likes these things, and he collects the newer tapes and shit. I'm like, that's really cool. And he's actually still got one sitting there for sale. I'm like, maybe I should just kind of triple dip on this record, you know? But no.
Yeah, you'll get it eventually.
But he's even got the Marco Polo Port Authority tape sitting there too. And I've got that.
Really?
I've got that on CD and vinyl too. Maybe I'll just make the whole collection. But no, but really, really cool stuff. But he's like, yeah, it's kind of a niche market even around here. You know, some people will go in there and they're like, who is that? Who is this damn? Like nobody knows. Right? So it's kind of frustrating a little bit. But last question from Cork. which MC's life should be brought to the big screen. My first thought, well, besides, doing Def Jam stuff, I mean, that's kind of weird that got brought up earlier in the show, but I would like to see, actually, again, representing Def Jam, I didn't even put the connection together, is Slick Rick. I would love to see a movie based on Slick Rick's life. Because
that'd be cool.
Just his coming up with Dougie Fresh and all that stuff, the early stuff that he did right there, and then him putting out his first record and being a big success, and then a big flop on his second record, and going to jail, and he's had a really interesting career. And I'd like to see all the dirt on Slick Rick, because he's been so quiet since he dropped his last record in '98. The last 19 years, he's really not done a lot of recordings. He's toured and he's done shows and stuff. I've always seen him pop up on bills and things like that, but I always wonder why he doesn't record anything anymore. Even guest vocals, he's done a few songs here and there, but I've always been kind of interested by Slick Rick. I mean, even with his eye thing, and I think there's a story to be told there. I think I'd watch it.
Definitely. Yeah, there's so many guys I would watch movies of, man. There's you could name thousands of people I would be interested in seeing, but one that came to mind right off was MF Doom, just because he has a pretty crazy story as well.
Yeah, I would say that too. MF Doom for sure.
It's because he's a mystery.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right. He's kind of an enigma. He's definitely a weird one. That's a good choice, man. That's a really good choice.
So I know this one's probably been said a bunch. I have two. So both these guys probably been said, but I would say either Dilla or Nujabes. They're kind of, Dilla is kind of a given. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done Stone's Throw hasn't done something on his life by now. They kind of did a little documentary thing on YouTube, I think, but otherwise, a full length thing. I'm sure a lot of people would be into that. And I think Nujabe is kind of a niche thing too, but I'm sure there's a huge fan base for his music.
Yeah.
Sure people would be into his life. He led a pretty interesting life from what I understand too. So
yeah, that's an excellent choice, man. I would love to know the whole history of Dilla, man. That's pretty cool. Next question here from Alan Nutton. He asks, one last question. Top 3 hip hop albums of 2017. We decided we are not going to answer this. We're going to, we don't really want to give spoilers away for our list for the year-end show. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, we will answer it just in time.
In time,
right.
Exactly. I mean, just wait for the year-end show, and then when we do our top 10 list. So, which I think will, I don't know. I got a feeling they might be a lot different this year. I don't know how you guys are matching up with my list. It's weird.
I don't know. I got a lot of Lil Pump and Kendrick on there, so I don't think you guys are gonna...
Little Uzi Vert and shit. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Little Uzi Vert's coming in there. Probably in number 10 spot.
Yeah, well, Lil Pump was a new addition, so I had to move my whole list around now.
Yeah, I figured once you heard Lil Pump that they would change shit. So he's a game changer, is what he is.
He's definitely a game changer, for sure.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, so next question here from my man Derek, aka Boston Brando. He asked, what 5 songs do you listen to when you just want to lay back and chill? I mean, we were talking about this prior to the show, and we said it would have been a lot easier to pick artists. I mean, if I was to pick one album, if I just want to kick back and chill, it's always the Nonce for me, man. World Ultimate. I love that record, but I literally answered this question by thinking of the first 5 songs that came to my mind. I wrote it down in 2 minutes. Electric Relaxation by Tribe, Late Night Hype by Compton's Most Wanted, Claiming I'm a Criminal by Brand Nubian, Mixtapes by the Nonce, and of course In the Trunk by Too Short. I don't know why those were the first 5 songs that came to my mind. They were chill, and I was I love all these songs. What's that?
Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say In the Trunk, Too Short. That's funny.
Yeah, I know, right? I just that. Yeah.
But, I used to love that song, man.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So those are the songs I just really just ripped off my mind right there, but love them all. So
yeah.
What about you guys?
What do you have, Tom?
I have so I kind of did the artist thing as well, not really songs, but for songs for sure. There's a few The Roots, What They Do is one. Common's The Light is definitely a good chill out song for me. Let's see. Oh, anything by there's an artist called Della, a French artist, is a producer. anything from him is pretty much good. But
yeah, the changes of atmosphere album, I think, in my opinion, is fucking classic.
Classic, yeah. There's one track on there called, I think it's called "It Is What It Is" or something like that, or it is. I love that. That track is like really chilled me out anytime I listen to it. So, what else do I have? Yeah, anything by Nujabes for sure. His whole album Spiritual is amazing. Like any like I said, anything from him or just anything off that label that he's on is so good. Just jazz rap, chill out music, so good.
Yeah, that's like ultimate chill music, basically.
Yeah, that's really kind of cheating almost.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect answer right there. Yeah, 100% co-sign that. Yeah.
And then there's another dude that is kind of just like him. It's called Fat John. Fat John, the Ample Soul Edition. Yep, and it's like the same thing. He lives in Germany now, but he makes the same kind of chill out, kind of down tempo, electronic at times hip hop music, but his album 800 Stars is just phenomenal all the way through. It's really chill. I've fallen asleep to it many a night, so check that out if you don't know it.
Yeah, and I didn't see this question until the show actually started and Moods mentioned it, so it's kind of hard to narrow down song-wise, but just artists, I mean, you guys probably know if you listen to the show before, I'm a big Rock Marciano fan. And I like to chill, so I listen to a lot of Rock Marciano. And other than that, Ka, his buddy. And, of course, MF Doom's pretty chill. Some Open Mike Eagle, it's pretty chill stuff. I was listening to his new album last night, chilling. And Odyssey as well. Like Odyssey on the mic and also just his instrumental stuff.
Yeah, Odyssey's a good one, for sure.
Yeah, Odyssey's earlier stuff, for sure. Yeah, I'm not a fan of his new record whatsoever. I actually listened to it a couple weeks ago again.
Yeah, I did as well.
Yeah, just to give it, because, give it some time. Sometimes with albums, if you listen, it happens all the time. You're into an album right away, and then you put it away for a while, and you come back to it, and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking? This shit ain't even that good.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe this might have a reverse effect on me, because I didn't like that album, and I still don't like it at all.
Yeah, I had the same reaction. I was like, damn, still not clicking for me here. I just don't like it.
Okay, so the second part of this question is there any books on the history of hip-hop or hip-hop related that you would recommend? I just ordered the new Chuck D book, which I kind of scrolled through it a little bit, and it is literally like the history of hip-hop. It starts from like 73, there's a section 73 to 79, and it goes year by year, and it gives you a breakdown of every single year up until 2016, and it's coming from the master Chuck D himself. It's called Chuck D Presents This Day in Rap and Hip-Hop History. And you can, if you go on Amazon, you can, kind of scroll through it and stuff and give you a general idea of what exactly it is. And it's like, it's a history lesson for sure. So I can't wait to actually get that to read it. I'm super excited because Chuck, as we all know, Chuck D is the man for myself. So yeah, man, I would recommend that even before I read it because I trust Chuck D and it's going to be nothing but factual shit. So yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys have any other ones? And I mean, there's lots of books on it out there.
I'm not really like a big book dude. I don't really read a lot at all, to tell you the truth, and I don't really read any hip hop books. I'm more into like watching DVDs and like videos, stuff, documentaries, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But there's a couple that kind of came to mind. I don't know about hip hop history, but there's like this series of books called 33 and a Third, which talk about specific albums done by pretty recognizable artists. Like there's one by DJ Shadow for Introducing. There's one by J Dilla Donuts. So I would definitely recommend checking those books out. They're pretty small. They're like small books, really quick read, and tell all about the making of the album, like the history of the album, how it came about. Pretty cool. And then there's one more that came to mind that I actually do own. It's called Ego Trip's Big Book of Rap Lists. It's like a top 10 list of like different, just top 10s that they put together. So pretty cool, worth a read for sure.
I will note on the Ego Trips book, which is actually like a Bible for me. My book is so worn out. I've read through that thing a million times. It's really cool, but it came out in 99, I believe, or something like that. So it's basically, it follows everything up into that point, but it's cool, man, because it has the breakdown of like the best albums of every year. And then it has like all the singles, and then it has all these like top 5 and 10 lists and things. It's a really, really amazing. I wish they would do another one of those, for,
They have to. It'd be so cool if they did another one, like an updated one. So I wish
an update. Yeah.
I have mentioned in my videos before that I've been, I got that book years ago and I own most of the albums, but there's still a few albums that I'm missing from the best albums of each year. And my goal was to get every single album listed in there. I think I'm only missing 5 or 6 in the whole thing now. So, because there's a couple early like ones from 79 to 83 that are, 12-inch only, and they're just impossible to find. Like you cannot find them. Yeah, so I kind of discluded some of those ones, but for the actual album-wise, I'm doing pretty well. But it's a great guideline. It is.
It really, I love it. What about you?
I have no hip-hop books at all. If I'm going to read, I usually just like to read fiction. Like I don't really want to sit down and read about hip hop. But I'm more like on the lines of Tom. Like I'd much rather watch a film or some documentary or something about hip hop. But if I was going to buy something though, and I actually thought about this before, is the Gospel of Hip Hop, of course, by KRS-One.
Man, I have had that book on a list to buy for so long, and I still have never. I wanted to read it forever.
Yeah, I've been meaning to buy it for years, but I never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah, me either, man. Good one. That's a good one. All right, man. Coming from my boy Zach. He asked, who would win in a fight to the death cage match? King T, Ice T, or Ice Cube? Well, I couldn't help but burst out laughing at this question. It's so Zach to ask something ridiculous and stupid like this, but it's funny because it gets you thinking a little bit. I mean, I think if you were to do it in modern times, I think Ice-T's a little bit.
I was going to ask, is it modern times or is it like of all time, like any time period? Because I think there's a big difference.
Yeah, like are these guys in their prime, or or are we talking about right now today? Right. If they all climbed in a cage, what would happen?
Okay, I'm going to put it this way. So if I were to answer it in their prime time, King T, Ice Cube, relatively all in their primes around the same time. I would probably take King T in their prime, and in modern times, I would still take King T. I think King T is a big badass motherfucker.
King T.
Yeah, man. I don't think Ice-T would last a minute against either Ice Cube and King T, and I think King T would whoop Ice Cube. So
I don't know, man. I think Ice-T's the type of guy that go in there and like pull foreign objects out of the tights, like kind of sneaky like that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. King T kind of scares me. He's a big dude, man. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm for some reason I think Ice Cube would come in there and he would have the wrestling advantage. He'd be taking guys down and just pounding them out, But I don't know. It's a tough one. It is really tough. King T probably has a reach advantage, so I don't know, man. I'm trying to break this down. I'm trying to analyze this fight, and I don't know.
Right. Yeah, come on, Jason. You're the fan here, so what are the odds?
I think I'm going to go with Ice Cube. I think I'm going with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
He's a pretty athletic guy. He's good at basketball as well, so he's got good footwork.
Yeah, true that. I never considered the athleticism in there. I was thinking street fighting. But yeah. All right.
Yeah, I was actually straight up thinking street fighting too, so that's kind of why I would go with King T, because I kind of think King T, possibility that King T might still kind of be in the street somewhere, as opposed to Ice Cube and Ice T, who probably aren't. But that's just kind of my, I don't know, fucked up.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So I would probably go, I think the same thing that Mood said is King T and then probably T and Cube, or maybe Cube and T. I don't know. I'll let the Cube and T battle. But King T first play for sure.
King T still out in them streets throwing them bungalows.
Yeah.
Payback's a mother. All right, so next question here from my man Doubles. What's your guys' top 5 New York based MCs? This is like really insanely hard to answer, but I mean, if I was to like just quickly answer, well, my favorite MC is Mass Days, and he happens to be from New York, so Mass Days, Cool G Rap, Rakim, Biggie, and Chuck D. So those are the first 5 New York based rappers that I fucking love.
Wow. Yeah, this is really, really crazy hard question. This is like even an unfairly hard question, I would say. But the first ones that came to mind, I would probably say, if I had to just do it off the top without even making a list, I would probably say like A$AP Rock's Rakim, Godfather Don, throw him in there.
Such a good answer.
Cool G Rap, and I got to go with Master Ace, greatest of all time. Yeah, got to put Master Ace on that list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be my.
That's interesting. You said A$AP because I had him as well, but I had the order that came up in my mind was Master Ace, Nas, Cool G Rap, A$AP, and I threw in Cool Keith.
Nice. Yeah, like I wrote these down just off the top of my head, and I wrote Master Ace, Cool G Rap, Rakim, Biggie, Chuck D, O.C, Nas, A$AP Rock, Pharoah Monch, KRS-One, Slick Rick, Pun L, Prodigy, P, and Jizza. That's just the way it came out. Like,
this is another one I didn't see this question like before the show at all. So I'm sure I would have come up with something different if I had some time to think about it. But those are just the first ones that came to mind.
Right. Keep in mind that these lists would probably change. Anytime you discuss, we could probably come up with 5 more rappers from New York. So it's just.
I originally was going to answer this question by borough. Like, I was going to pick one MC from the specific boroughs, like, Staten Island to fucking Manhattan, the Bronx and shit.
Cool. Yeah, that would have been cool because it would give us more of like a limitation. We have to only pick one from each borough. So maybe we should do something like that for like an upcoming show or something.
I think that would be.
I was thinking Redman, but then I realized he's from New Jersey, so I was like, shit.
Yeah. Yeah, which would I would love to do an entire show just on Jersey hip hop, man. I think that would be so intriguing, man. And then we get to talk about Tony D and shit. They got such an awesome history there. It's crazy. It needs to be exploited more. It needs to be talked about a little bit more. So, but New York MCs, man. There's a million good ones. I knew A$AP Rock was going to. I mean, modern MCs. I would listen to A$AP Rock more than I listen to Rakim. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, Rakim back in the early 90s, I used to wear my shit out. I listen to Rakim's records so much, man. Like, but now I bump A$AP all the time, man. The dude's impeccable. And there's another guy that's super consistent. He always puts out dope records.
Always. Yeah.
Like,
ever since
always doing. Yeah, he's always doing something good, man. It's crazy. Another guy that produces and raps.
Yeah. Another one. So.
Second last question here. What do you think of the horrorcore rap? Does the subgenre have a greater appeal besides mere shock value? This is coming from my man, Mr. Watson. I get asked this question all the time if I can recommend horrorcore MCs to people. And I think people just assume I love horrorcore rap music because I love horror movies. In all honesty, I am not a big fan of horrorcore. And when I tell people this, it shocks them. They're like, what do you mean you don't like horrorcore? I'm like, I'm not a big fan of horror-based rap music. I like the conscious, stuff. Like, I don't know what it is. I've always just appealed to more like that. And, kind of political and things like, I like that type of music. The thing is, for me, I would rather watch death on screen than listen to it. Essentially is what it comes down to. I don't know. I like Necro. And don't get me wrong. I'm a big fan of Necro, but in small doses. Right? Like, I'm not like a big horrorcore fan. Like, I think some of the early Gangsta Nip stuff is absolutely the funniest shit ever recorded. Like, horror movie rap is the funniest song ever recorded in my opinion. In which, by the way, he is the originator of that shit. A lot of people always say it's Eshawn and stuff, but no, it's Gangsta Nip, man. I mean, he even wrote the song Chucky for Bushwick Bill off the Ghetto Boys album, We Can't Be Stopped. But yeah, man, I'm not a big fan. I don't have, I don't harp on people that love horrorcore and stuff. I mean, it's definitely it's like a really neat subgenre. It's just not really that much. Is it for shock value? I guess. Isn't that what it's kind of about? I mean,
it's kind of what the point of music is, right? It's to shock. I mean, why are they rapping about it? Otherwise, why aren't they rapping about, I don't know, playing with teddy bears or something?
Yeah.
If you don't shock people, then I think it's kind of why unless they're really doing those things, unless that's their everyday life, they're going out and drinking from skulls and, then,
where's my damn skull? I'm thirsty. Where's my skull?
Seriously. Where's my skull chalice at? Yeah, I would agree with Moods on that. I'm not the biggest fan, or really a fan of at all of horrorcore hip hop. Like, there's definitely parts of it I like. Like, there's some great, Flatliners, a great group that comes to mind. They were one of my favorites for sure. Gangsta Nip has some great stuff for sure, like Mood said. But yeah, definitely not my favorite subgenre of hip hop by any means. And yeah, I think there's definitely. I don't know if there's a greater. I guess the question was, does it have a greater appeal besides shock value? Not to me. I don't really see any greater appeal. Like Mood said, I would much prefer a horror movie than listening to horrorcore. It'll do so much more for me. I get more out of it. So that's me personally.
Yeah, definitely. I feel exactly the same. It's just something I never connected with. It just kind of. I mean, it's interesting. I listen to it. I'm like, all right, that's kind of a cool idea, but it's just kind of like Marilyn Manson, Alice Cooper type shit. It's like, it's not for me. I just don't buy into that type of gimmick. But. Yeah,
the shock core, the shock rock, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
I mean,
it's been done in every genre type thing. And have you guys ever heard of a group? This actually just came to me right now, which would have applied to an earlier UK question. But have you guys ever heard of a group called Rhyme Asylum? They're actually from the UK.
I have.
They're kind of horrorcore. Their music's really dark, and it's not exactly full blown horrorcore. It's just really dark. The beats are really, really hauntingly dark, and they talk about dark things. But it's not like murder, kill on every fucking track, and chop off your dick and shit. But it's like, it's really interesting. But if you're not a fan of accents, it's very noticeable within Rhyme Asylum. But I don't know what happened to these cats. I actually have their first 2 records that came out, and I kind of forgot about them until like right now. Like, it just came to me. But they're definitely a group I would check out, man, because if you're into that type of dark music and shit, give it a shot, man. It's pretty good. Actually, really good.
Yeah, it would definitely probably be like the UK equivalent of like horrorcore, although like Mood said, they're not strictly horrorcore. They do have some elements of their stuff, which is like conscious tracks as well, too, and then some like, just like straight up hardcore hip hop, I guess you would call it, or whatever. But and then they have like featured and like collaborated with like Ill Bill, and I think like Crooked Eye was on one of the tracks that I heard. So yeah,
which makes sense. They're kind of connected to that type of stuff too a little bit. Not so much in their own personal stuff, but they do stuff with that, right? Obviously, Ill Bill being Necro's brother. All right, so last question here from my man JP, Double Shot J, from the infamous 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. He asks us to rank the MCs from the Wu-Tang Clan, but don't do it as like a discography. Don't rank them by their output of material and stuff. Just rank them as personal. Like how
just by rap skill, or by just like code.
Yeah, just
like,
who you like the best.
Yeah, like who you like the best. Like, I mean, if you were, let's face it, like U-God probably has like the weakest. I don't know, but somebody might like him the best, like as an MC. I kind of answer this question like how I like him on the Wu-Tang records. That's how I kind of approach the question, and I guess in general too as MCs. But and I discluded Capadonna because I don't really officially consider him a member.
I would agree.
So I kind of went with the originals. But first up, we got the Genius, number 1. Genius has always been my favorite, man. Number 2, Inspector Deck. I fucking love Inspector Deck. I think he's so amazing on everything else but his own solo albums. It's so bizarre. Like, I love it.
It's so crazy, right? Yeah.
He spit some of the most insane and memorable verses on the Wu-Tang records. And he just, I don't know what it is on his solo projects, man. He just comes off as kind of mediocre, but
I know.
Method Man, I love Meth. Raekwon, Ghostface, Killah, ODB, can't forget about him, even though he's passed. Did have a career. The RZA, Master Killah, and then U-God. So that's how I like him in that order.
Nice.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I would have to probably agree with you on Jizza. He's always been my favorite Wu member. I've always said that, and I'll continue to say that. I know he's got my favorite record, Liquid Swords, even though we're not doing by discography, but still. Jizza for sure. And then I would probably have to see. I agree with you on Inspected Deck. He would be so much higher for me if his solo albums were like were better, but they were just like so disappointing to me when I heard them. I'm just like, I couldn't do it. So secondly, I would go with Method Man for sure, and then Ghostface, Killah. After that, Raekwon. After that, RZA, say, and then these last two I'm really not the biggest fan of, but whatever. Master Killah and You God. So it's pretty much the same as yours, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. Mine's pretty similar as well. But this is something that as well can definitely change.
Yeah.
Because I'm the same as you guys. GZA was always my favorite until the last probably couple of years, and Method Man has taken over that. And I think previously it's like Method Man was kind of always the popular guy, and I was like, there's GZA's a better MC, but Method Man is goddamn great, man. Like everything he does, like in terms feature wise, is for the last few years has been phenomenal. And he's just an entertaining guy, so I put him in the number 1 spot now, and GZA number 2. And number 3, Raekwon. I was always a big fan of Raekwon. And then we'll go with Ghostface, RZA, and Inspector Deck, ODB, Master Killah, and You God.
Interesting. Yeah, man, I've never overly liked the RZA on the Wu-Tang records overly that much. I know it's kind of blasphemy to say, but his verse has never really stuck out too much for me. I always felt like he fit the mold of the Gravediggers, going back to some horrorcore stuff. Jesus Christ.
I was going to mention them earlier, actually. They're like the only horrorcore group I really ever connected with is Gravediggers. And I really love RZA on that. I love his voice.
I think the RZA fits that type of style perfectly. Really, really good. Yeah, dude.
1-800 Sword.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So good. Yeah, man, even though Inspector Deck, like, I think he's so good on the Wu-Tang records, but like now with Czarface, it's like Inspector Deck top notch, man. That guy rips some fucking great verses on there. I don't know if it's the influence of it, because I've always thought Esoteric's a really dope MC, but those guys really complement each other so well. I think they just work well together, and they just kind of feed off each other's energy.
Yeah, it's a strange combination. Yeah, it's a strange combination, but it does work.
It does work, right? It's so crazy. Remember, like, Speaking Real Words, when they dropped that way back in the early 2000s, like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's some crazy ass shit right there, man. And then who would have thought, 10, 12 years later, they would have started working on an actual group and dropped 3 records. It's crazy. And I think that it's very complimentary. And it shows that Inspector Deck seems to work better, within a group kind of setting. Working with 7L and working with Esoteric. It's kind of interesting, I don't know what it is, but Inspector Deck's solo records always felt uninspired to me. They always felt rushed, uninspired. Yeah. I don't know.
It's like other rappers bring the best out of them. It seems like when he, like you said, in the group, when he's working with others, he can definitely, maybe he I don't know, maybe they like play off each other or something when they're in the studio. I don't know if they did it in the studio or if that's how it is, how they work, but it seems like for sure he definitely works better. But yeah, like you said, that Speaking Real Words, when that like EP or 12-inch came out, I was waiting for an album from those two for like so long after that. Like, I was like, oh man, they have to put out an album. This 12-inch is so good. And they just nothing came, no further collaborations came out till whenever. So
yeah, it's funny. I consider Czarface to be like the more underground version of Run the Jewels. It's like when those two guys get together, it just makes it's so much better than their individual stuff.
Right.
It's so ironic too that Run the Jewels is so popular because, LP, with Company Flow back in, the late 90s, that was like the epitome of underground shit back in those days.
Yeah, exactly. That was it right there.
The irony is so thick that he is so popular and famous now. Like, it's just so crazy. Where it came from, right?
Like Def Jux would never be, anything on that label. No one would ever like just people that love Run the Jewels now would never be caught dead listening to anything like Stepfather Factory, any of that shit. They'd be like, what the hell is this bullshit,
Yeah. Could you imagine if somebody brought that album into LP back then and said, here, what do you think about this? He'd probably just throw it in the trash.
Get this bullshit out of here.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that think that LP's new with Run the Jewels.
I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, I've heard that so many times now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
But it is so different from what he did back then, and with Run the Jewels. But I like all of it. I like all of LP stuff. It's kind of strange.
he's very much an innovator. You know, I mean, the Company Flow stuff was so different. I mean, the whole time period of Def Jux was, it kind of, for me, it really does. It's a big thing for the 2000s for me, was Def Jux, right?
Yeah.
That was the label that I always found myself going back to and listening to records, because it was the different thing at the time, and it was good.
Yeah.
You know, I was always looking for something a little bit different, and when Def Jux, they were kind of the alternate. They were the alternate stuff, and I wasn't listening to it just because of that reason, but I actually really liked the shit, man. Like, first time I heard I Phantom by Mr. Liff, I almost shit my pants, like blew my shitter out.
The shitter was blown off.
I was like, damn, this is really good. Like, really fucking good. And of course, A$AP Rocky, and then the rest is history, but yeah, you know, it is interesting if you were to play some of that stuff for the people that think LP is just new with the Run the Jewels stuff, to see their reactions. Hey, check out this song right here. Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I mean, he's known as Mac Miller's older brother or something. I don't know. Whatever someone said that time, I fucking laughed. Oh, he's like an older brother. Yeah, man. So that is going to conclude the questions for the show here. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions, leave them on the comment here, or I'll make posts in the group page and whatnot. Drop us lines, man. We like to answer questions. Moving along here with the topic of the week here. This is something that Jay came up with, and I thought it was actually pretty interesting. It was just developed right from a minor conversation that we were having. But the question is, do you have to have a high level of technical skill to make good music or not? So
yeah, this is something kind of stemmed from, you know, previously we were just talking about how horrible some of the new MCs are, and it's just trash and it just ruins everything. But
yeah,
I mean, but there are a lot of artists that are at the top of our favorite list that aren't really flashy or very technical MCs, really. Mm-hmm.
I've always approached this with the mentality. I always use the Cannabis thing as an example. Mm-hmm. Now, Cannabis is, to most people, a very technical, gifted lyricist, man. He writes some pretty crazy shit, and, you know, he's kind of skillful with his wordplay and stuff. Does he make good albums? No. He makes very unmemorable records. He's a fucking amazing MC, but he doesn't make great records. You know, you have guys like fucking Eric Sermon and PMD. I'll just use them as an example.
Yeah.
Two guys that are not gifted lyricists at all, but they make awesome music together because it works, right? What they're saying is memorable because of the music too. And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to for myself, is a lot of times beats is kind of the game, or is kind of the seller for me. You know, if I can't feel your shit, if I can't just hear it and feel it, you know, I'm probably going to turn it off. And so, I mean, we've been asked questions before, like, what do you prefer, beats or rhymes and stuff? I think beats is a big thing. You know, you have to be able to hear it. And then if the MC is technical or not, I mean, it depends. You know, you don't have to be technically gifted to make good records at all. I think you can be a mediocre MC as long as you have good music to back it up. I mean, a lot of people say Masta Ace is not the greatest rapper in the world. And, you know, without being biased, like, I don't think Masta Ace is the most technical, greatest MC either. But he's still my favorite because what he does works. He tells stories. It's comforting music. It's soothing. And he always has good beats and shit. You know? So,
yeah, exactly. His music it makes you feel something.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, whereas, you know, listen to a Cannabis album, I don't feel anything. It's just like, all right, this guy's pretty cool. Like, he's got all these weird topics and is definitely a good lyricist, but it's not making me feel anything. Yeah. But if you put on a Masta Ace album and listen to the whole thing through, it's like, it makes you think, it has a lot of emotion in it. Mm-hmm. You know? That's what does it for me. And as well, it's like, just as another example, is one of my favorites, the Beatnuts. Like, their music isn't really emotional like Masta Ace is. It doesn't make you think a lot, but it damn sure makes you want to have a good time.
Yeah,
right. I was just just gotta bring them up, Jason. That's a perfect example, actually. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they're at the top of my list as well. Like it just makes you feel good. It's good time party music. You know, it's fun. You're laughing. You're having a good time. You know, so you can go different ways with it, but that's what means the most to me is like if it makes me feel something.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is definitely feeling. Yeah, as if it makes you feel something because. Yeah, cannabis is a great example. I don't know. I'm sure there's Jason kind of stole my example with the beat nuts. That was a good one, but that's who I was going to say. I was going to say the beat nuts is definitely one for me that it definitely, you have a great time. There's a group, I'm sure you guys know, there's a group called Ugly Duckling out there. You guys know who they are?
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of like
Moods loves Ugly Duckling.
I have all their albums. I still even have, I don't know if you guys watch some of my older videos, but I actually have an Ugly Duckling shirt. And I've been asked a million times, what the hell's with the Ugly Duckling shirt? I just said, I just got a shirt made up, based on my looks. It fucking kills people every time. And I'm like, no, seriously, they're a hip hop group. No, they're called Ugly Duckling. It gets people every time. I'm like, no, man, seriously, check them out. I actually showed Ugly Duckling to my brother-in-law one time, and he fell in love with them. He's like, dude, these guys are fucking hilarious. They're talking about meat shakes. Meat shakes. He's just dying. He's like, the beats are fun. And these guys are the epitome of artists that are having so much fun with their music.
Exactly. They're having a great time. They're not the best, lyrics, tech, not the best by far, but they're just having such a great time, and they're great just party music, put it on and just have a good time to it. So I think so. I kind of agree completely with what you guys said.
There's a thing for me. Yeah, I mean, we shit on a lot of the new music and stuff, but I mean, a lot of that is good party music as well. I definitely listen to it more than you guys do, but
Yeah. A couple more examples for myself here on either side of the spectrum. I've mentioned millions of times, People Under the Stairs. Great party music, chill, lounge type music. And, Double K and Thes One aren't the greatest lyricists in the world, but everything they're saying, you can kind of relate to. And you're just like, oh, yeah, it's very party motivated. But at the end of the day, they are having so much fun in what they're doing. They're making conscious, fun hip hop music with over really good beats and stuff. And you got to put in perspective too, man. Like, People Under the Stairs come from the same area as Spice One. And look at the content difference. I mean, they grew up right around the corner from Spice One. They know him, but they do conscious party music. It's just they're just representing that type of style from, a really kind of ugly area. All the music from the West Coast doesn't have to be that gangster music and shit like that. And that's what I like about Putz, man. They're just very, very consistent with their content, and they're always having fun. I mean, look at some of they're literally laughing on tracks sometimes. They're having so much fun, and I love listening to it. Like, I can put on a Putz playlist of all their records, put it on random, and it just never fails me, man. I'm just always having so much fun. On the polar aspect of the spectrum here, another guy that's a really technically awesome MC that does not make great records is AZ. I've said this for many, many years, and I've always thought it's such a shame that somebody like AZ, who has been dubbed as having one of the best guest verses of the 90s, which if you're going to be put into that category, that's saying a lot. With Life's a Bitch. And, his first album was good. Wasn't great. I mean, I still love it, but he has put out a lot of material, and he's always good on the mic. Does not have great beats. His albums are very forgettable. He's got a lot of very forgettable music, and it's such a shame because AZ has the talent, if you're looking for that type of technical MC. But again, it comes down to the beat element. It's not great stuff.
Right.
How in the fuck does AZ not get good production over the years? Like, I mean, I know this question came up many, many times, but with someone with so much skill, you think that beat makers would be all over that shit. If you were a beat maker,
it's kind of funny. The guy that he had the guest verse on with Nas is kind of the same way.
Yeah, I was going to just say Nas is exactly the same way. Yeah, he gets not the greatest beats, but he's greatest whatever technical MC. So
it's very strange, right? We can throw a cat into the same argument that we were just talking about, and it's Method Man. I mean, I've always loved Method Man. I think Method Man is actually a pretty decently technical, awesome MC. He says a lot of pretty good stuff.
Yep.
Does he make great records? No. In fact, he makes horrible records. Like, I'm talking astonishingly bad albums. I mean, I haven't liked anything since Decal. I was not even a fan of the follow-up record, the prequel, not the prequel, but the
Tikal 2000.
Yeah, the 2000.
I never could get into the beats and stuff, and I don't know what it was, but he's still good. If you listen to Method Man rap, he's really good. Like, even Biggie said on the What? Killed him. He fucking put Biggie in his place, and Biggie he fully admitted that. Like, Method Man has some really amazing skills, and he's I think, you know, on the new Wu-Tang album, you guys can't see my fingers right now, but Method Man really does a great job on that. Like, he sounds hungry on there. He's kicking some really good verses, man, over some good beats. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome, Method Man. It gave me shivers, man. You know, so it's, you know, about those beats, man. But to answer the question, I don't think you have to be the most insanely gifted MC to make good records. In fact, sometimes it works right against you. You have to have a package deal.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, not really much more on the topic, but it's always fun to talk about. There's probably hundreds and hundreds more examples that we could throw out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There really is, man. You know, on each side of the spectrum, but all right. So, yeah, that's going to conclude Real Talk.
I'm gonna kill everyone here.
Oh yeah, getting into the featured reviews for episode 6 here on Disposable Arts. First up, being released probably today when this podcast is dropping. I think this is the release date. Meyhem, Loren, and DJ Muggs, Gems from the Equinox. Yeah. So, impressions of Meyhem, Loren, and DJ Muggs, man. I think this one was like a long awaited record. I mean, this one got announced a long time ago, didn't it? It's been...
Yeah. Well, they did some work on Mayhem's last album together, and then I guess this has been a plan for over the last four years or so, from what I was reading.
Yeah, I think
really?
they actually... Well, they were recording for like the last 4 years.
Yeah.
So, explain to me how this album came out so short then. They've been recording material for 4 years. I mean,
that's a good question.
You know, honestly, I mean, that's a big thing that one of the major problems I have with a lot of modern albums is that a lot of stuff just seems really, I don't know, just really fastly made. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of albums come out today and they just feel like they were made over such a short period of time and things like that. I mean, this one right here, just, you know, the length and the breakdown of the record. I mean, there's 11 songs on it, and it runs 33 minutes long. And the construction of this album almost feels like a mixtape. If they were recording this over 4 years, it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just part 1. Maybe there's going to be like more Gems from the Equinox, part 2, coming out later down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, it definitely has a more mixtape feel than album to it. And especially since Meyhem Loren has put out so many mixtapes over the years, I thought that's what this is going to be. I didn't know it was going to be like an actual album, but it definitely has that feel. So,
yeah, maybe he's going the way of Action Bronson, taking the mixtape into an album.
Right.
Well, you know, I mean, if this is recorded over 4 years, I mean, they did use some cohesiveness in the record. I mean, with the, you know, I guess what you'd call them, like the dialogue outros. You know, the beat would change and they would have someone, you know, talking at the end of the end of the song. So it kind of makes it feel like a cohesive record, like there's actually like a concept to the album. But I mean, the length and the construction of the tracks makes me feel like this album completely has a mixtape vibe to it. There's a lot of songs.
Yeah, and if you're someone that's like a big fan of hooks, you're not going to get that here at all. It's just verse, bam, see you later.
Isn't this very reminiscent of the Ill Bill record that we reviewed a while ago?
I think this is way ahead of that.
No, not in quality. I meant in you know, construction.
Yeah, the way it's constructed, similar.
Yeah.
Not a lot of hooks. Very, very short songs. A lot of features. It gets very similar to that, but yeah, in quality, this one is miles ahead of that piece of shit. So yeah, Meyhem Loren, an MC I've actually really liked for a long time. And DJ Muggs, DJ Muggs, of course, the famous producer from Cypress Hill, man. And, I was a little bit surprised that this wasn't like a Meyhem Loren verse DJ Muggs record, because he had that really cool series going, with the Genius and Planet Asia and Sick Jackin', and he did one with Ill Bill also. And this was supposed to be the fifth one. It's not dubbed as a verse record, so that was kind of disheartening for me right off the bat. I was like, damn, it's not a verse record. I'm like, where am I going to put this?
It's kind of strange. I thought that was strange as well.
Yeah, so, I guess that's kind of what happens when you record something over 4 years. You just kind of change maybe the approach of it a little bit. I don't really know, to be honest, but so what's your guys' thoughts on the album? I mean, just break this down. I mean, first song, Camel Crush. For
me, I didn't really love this track. It didn't really get me like hype for the album. It was kind of like slow. It was just like all right for an intro, but I was expecting something to get me like more hype. The beat was cool. I didn't hate the beat, but I didn't love it either. I thought it was kind of just meh. Start off the album at least. I wanted something a bit more like, I don't know, just to get me going, but I didn't get that. I get that, man.
Yeah, it completely feels like an intro track. I don't know what it is with the initial mix down on the drums, but man, is when it re-kicks in, it's so distorted. I don't know if Muggs did that purposely, because
I'm pretty sure he did.
He probably did. I mean, it's definitely something that DJ Muggs has done in the past. But man, because it completely, if the beat flattens out, like it's not over distorted throughout. It's just that initial hit, that bass kick drum. It's just like, and it like sounds like it's distorted like crazy. But but yeah, I mean, this track feels like the intro track to the album. Does this album need an intro track when you only have 11 songs right in 33 minutes?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It is sort of like an intro that turned into a song, basically. It's kind of weird the way they did that. I liked it though. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, I like the way the vocals had like so much reverb on them. It's crazy. It's kind of had a psychedelic feel to it. It's a pretty cool track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Meyhem Loren, you're not going to get like a lot of substance with Meyhem Loren. If you guys are familiar with Meyhem, I mean, he definitely rhymes about very similar stuff all the time. He almost comes off like a battle rapper in a sense, even hardcore. I don't really know how to classify Meyhem Loren sometimes.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, I'm not really like the biggest fan of Meyhem Loren. I'll just say that like off the bat. I've never been like out of that whole crew of like Action Bronson, Meyhem Loren. I'm sure I know there's more guys in there I'm forgetting. I think Mr. Motherfucking Esquire came up with those guys, but I know there's another guy in that crew which I can't. Oh, Shazil York, he was in that crew too.
He's dope, man.
He was. I love him. He was my second favorite after Action Bronson, but Meyhem Loren was like my least favorite out of all those guys. And I think it's partially to do with like his voice. His voice is kind of just like, I don't know. It's like sleepy to me. There's nothing really there. It's kind of like the intro. Nothing really like gets me going. Doesn't get me moving. It's kind of like I feel like I'm gonna fall asleep literally.
Yeah, I get that. I like his voice though, and on a lot of these tracks, I think Muggs kind of designed the tracks for him basically to make him sound good.
I can see. Yeah, that. Yeah. Which DJ Muggs, which is he's known for doing that though, right? I mean, he's the one that created the whole Cypress Hill sound. I mean, when Cypress Hill was first coming up, like Be Real didn't sound like how he did. It was Muggs that basically told him to do that with his voice and stuff. And he's very much like Be Real dubs DJ Muggs as a real producer. He's not just a beat maker. He actually produces albums. Like he gives input on, the lyrics and, the way to come into a beat and do this and that and stuff. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's not just handing out beats and going, hey, rhyme over this and that's it. He's got a say in the outcome of the record. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's why it's cool when he does an album with somebody, that he's doing it with that person specifically. It's not just a guy making beats and then the guy chooses whatever beats he wants and they mail them off or whatever.
Exactly. Then we get into the first single of the album, which is Street Religion, featuring Rock Marciano, which is a very familiar name around this podcast. He gets brought up probably every show if we're not reviewing an album either. So
as he should.
Yes. Right away. I mean, you recognize a sample in this track. It's from 5 Stair Steps. Outkast also used this on Two Dope Boys in a Cadillac. Yeah, man. This song, I love the sample. It just, right away, man, I was like, wow, that's, Outkast kind of made that sample famous.
Yeah.
It's been used before. It's not overly that original. I was actually quite surprised to see this as the first single, as something so recognizable, but I like the track. I think it's pretty cool, man. I think the construction of the song was actually quite interesting too, because Meyhem raps the first verse and then Rock Marciano does, I think, the last two.
Yeah, there's like a little break and then Rock picks it back up. It's kind of interesting the way they did that.
How often do you see that in an arrangement for a song where a dude raps a verse and then the guest person does kind of two verses at the end of the track?
Yeah. The whole construction of every song basically is something you don't really see that often.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of, I mean, there's only maybe one or two hooks on the whole record.
Yeah.
If that, and one of them actually plays out like another verse inside the chorus. Like the chorus kind of plays out like another verse. It's weird. We'll get to that, but I don't know. I think this track's dope, man. Rock sounds really good on a beat like this. I thought he sounded fresh. I thought, Meyhem sounded like, he wasn't like overly aggressive on it. It just fit. This was a good song. I was really kind of surprised because, like I said, when I first heard the sample, I was like, I don't know. But then I listened to it, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So
yeah,
I enjoyed the shit out of that, man.
I'll take that 2-to-1 ratio anytime. So
yeah.
I thought these guys sounded great together though on this track, man. I don't know. I definitely like Mayhem's voice better than you, so I can see why.
There was some tracks where he, mainly the ones with the features, where he sounded a lot better than just his solo tracks. I will say that for sure. Which there weren't a lot of. There was a decent amount of features on this, so I was all right with it.
But getting back to the question earlier, if you want to listen to a good chill song, I would say this is a good one to listen to.
Yeah, man. Yep. I agree with that. Then we get into track 3 called Shea Stadium, which of course is where the Mets play. Represent New York, featuring AB, which is Action Bronson. Yeah, man, it's just it's a very short track. 2 verses, Mayhem Loren, and then Action Bronson comes in, no chorus. It has that mixtape vibe to it, doesn't it? This track.
Yeah.
It does. I thought the beat was pretty cool again. I don't want to keep repeating it, but I think most of the beats on the record are actually pretty good. They're pretty solid.
Yeah, this one was kind of cool because it had kind of like that signature Muggs, like squealing sound loop type of beat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I thought Mayhem killed this beat, but I thought Action Bronson just didn't sound comfortable on it. He just didn't sound like he was in the pocket on this one for some reason.
I know exactly what you mean by that. Actually, I have it noted on another song where I thought Action didn't sound overly the greatest on, to be honest. But yeah, this one I get where you're coming from on that one. So
I totally agree. My note that I wrote on here was just a decent verse from Action Bronson. That's all I had for a note.
Track 4. This is called Hashioning with Conway. And, I learned something about watching that Cypher with Conway. I didn't know much about his personal history and things like that. But right away, I was like, why is he rapping with his mouth pushed off to one side? And like right after I thought that to myself, he explained in the rap why he was rapping like that. He's like, man, I got shot in the head and it paralyzed half my face. I'm like, oh my God, that totally makes sense now. Because I always thought that his voice sounded different, right? I could never figure it out because I'd never seen him rap before. I'd only heard him, right? But then seeing him on TV, I was like, or on the boob tube there, or on the YouTube, seeing him physically, and I was like, oh, that's crazy, So.
Yeah.
But this is a fucking total DJ Muggs beat. This one right here, man, is like so DJ Muggs. I absolutely love this beat. I don't know. I might get a little bit of hate for this, but I find that Conway, his lyrical content and just the way he projects his image, I feel like he's kind of this modern generation's 50 Cent. It seems like he's almost like the new guy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And just remember, gangster smile. They have fun. So
that's right.
Dude, I have that written down. Gangsta smile, man.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny when you did that.
Again, another just straight up verse song, no chorus, with the dialogue outro. And the cool thing about this album that makes it cohesive is that all these outros with the dialogue, it has the same beat. It never changes. So it actually gives it complements each other from track to track, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny with these type of beats from Muggs. I always get like this sort of like prehistoric party jam type of shit, like you can see Fred Flintstone getting down to these type of beats, you know. I don't know why. It's just like I don't know, man. Those type of Muggs beats always just crack me up for some reason. I'm just like seeing Fred Flintstone eating a Brontosaurus burger, you know, Wilma dancing in the background.
Oh yeah,
it's bizarre, man. Bizarre thoughts that come to mind.
Nice. Yeah, man, track 5, Aquatic Violence, featuring Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. This guy apparently does not want to have any mainstream success. And Sean P.
I love this track. The track is so...
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First thing that came to mind when I heard this beat, I was like, this is fucking Underwater Rhymes. This is what Digital Underground wanted to accomplish here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this beat's very haunting. It's a very DJ Muggs haunting type beat.
Yeah, it's definitely underwater, man. It's like, it's so great.
Yeah, sounds like it is for sure.
Yeah. I thought all three of these guys ripped it too, man. I liked all the verses on this one.
I thought Mr. Motherfucking Esquire was the weakest verse on here. I didn't dislike it or anything. But I really liked Meyhem and Sean P on this track, though. They really kind of stole the show for me. I don't know if it has anything to do with me not being overly familiar with Mr. Motherfucking Esquire. I feel silly saying his name every time. Like, is it just me, or like, is it awkward to say Mr. Motherfucking Esquire? Hey, man, who's bumping in your stereo? Mr. Motherfucking Esquire.
I like it, man.
I love his name. I think it's fucking amazing, Mr. Motherfucking Amazing.
It fits his personality too. You know, it's like motherfucker.
It really does.
I mean, it's not as ridiculous. Shorty Shitstain. Shorty Shitstain has the worst name ever. I mean, that is by far the worst fucking hip hop name of all time. Or maybe Yak Balls. Yak Balls is pretty bad too.
Yeah, Yak Balls is pretty bad.
Yak Balls is a bad one. Yeah. But before we move on, my favorite quote from this song was, "My big booty bitch got mega buns. You squeeze one cheek, you gotta use both hands, not hands."
Yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah, totally.
Like, if he says that, like, she looked good, but the pushy trash. She looked good, but I still gonna smash.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's good shit,
amazing,
man.
fucking rhyme.
That's Mr. Motherfucking Esquire.
That's him. That's him right there. That's the kind of genius you could expect from the motherfucking Esquire. So
exactly.
You know, the construction of the track, man. It's, you know, verse to verse to verse, no hook. But it's entertaining, man. It's a good track. You know,
it really is.
I think it's actually one of the longer tracks on the album. It's over 3 minutes, so I think it is. And that's, you know, it goes to say this album's pretty short. Track 6, 151. This is the second solo track by Meyhem Loren on here, and it's duly noted, BM, because this album has 11 tracks and 7 songs have features on them. So Meyhem only does 4 songs on this album by himself. So that's why I actually noted 151 is the second solo track, which includes Camel Crush was the first one, which is the fucking intro. So 151, this one actually had a chorus in it. You know, it was, you know, Meyhem doing a little bit of a hook, you know. This song feels gritty to me, man. Feels really, really gritty. Yeah. And it kind of, I don't know, man, again, kind of feels like, I don't know, it feels like really good mixtape stuff. You know, I actually wanted more from it. It's so short. Like, I could have done with another verse. Yeah. And that's one thing with this record that's quite interesting, is that there's not a lot of Meyhem like, I mean, obviously he does probably at least 11 verses on here, but there's no songs where he does, like, you know, abundance of verses on it for a solo record.
Right. No. Yeah, there really isn't.
It's crazy.
It's funny too, because with this song, I actually wish Be Real had been on this track, because this is just like this beat just sounded something like straight out of Black Sunday for me, man. I was like, oh man, Be Real should have been on this track. Like, if the slow nasally flow on this, man, it would have been perfect.
You know, that's interesting. I never really thought of that, but yeah, that's kind of cool, man.
I love this beat. I completely agree with Jason on that. He would have been great. Just throw Meyhem straight up out of there. Just straight real track on here.
I thought it was kind of interesting, the actual the arrangement of this one too, because Meyhem just gives her in this one, man. He almost raps the chorus just like it's almost combined with the verses. You know, I kind of like it. Kind of reminds me of like, remember when the Genius dropped Liquid Swords back in the day, where the beat never changed. The verse goes into the chorus in like one solid kind of line, like linear line. You know, it just, and I don't know, man. I always use that as like a reference point for some reason, but it's a cool track. I liked it.
I thought with Mayhem's flow on this, it was almost kind of sloppy, but it seemed like it was intentional. Like he was just kind of like, it was almost, I don't know, it wasn't mumbling, of course, but it was getting to that point where he's just kind of da 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 da. But it had a good flow to it with the beat. I thought it worked.
Oh, yeah, everything went together quite well, actually. And another track where it has another dialogue outro, which lasts for a little bit too. So the song is actually a little bit shorter in reality.
Yeah.
But it was good though. I dug it. Track 7, War Drums with Hologram and Benny the Butcher. I love that. That's just awesome. Benny the Butcher, man. Another verse for verse track. No hook, no outro. Beat was solid in this one. Another really solid Muggs beat. Not as typical type stuff, but I thought it was really good though, man. Really good beat. What did you guys think of Hologram and Benny the Butcher on this?
I thought they were both good.
Yeah, man. I thought they were both pretty good actually also.
Yep. Yeah, and this one had more of an old school type of flavor with the beat, I thought. But everyone sounded like they're just having a good time on this beat. Just, I don't know.
I really enjoyed it. I really like the beat on this one, actually.
Yeah, it was fucking awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit different than like a usual. I definitely wouldn't expect it to be like a usual Muggs beat, I guess. It didn't have a lot of
signature Mugg stuff in there. It just felt old school. I agree with that. It felt older, and which is a lot of the stuff on this record actually is like older samples, like 60s and 70s stuff, a lot of like keyboard kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm not surprised. I would like to find the sample list for this. I mean, that's the thing with a lot of modern records, like they sample so much stuff. I don't think any of these guys are clearing any of this shit either. Like I really don't.
Probably not.
I really don't, man. Like it's crazy because you can't find shit listed. You look in the albums and stuff, like they have no samples listed because they probably can't.
Yeah,
clear that shit, man.
We're just gonna keep this under wraps.
Yeah.
I actually wrote down. I knew some of the samples on here. I don't think I wrote down that one in particular, but I could. I'd have to listen to it again to find the sample. I could probably find it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, track 8 here, Szechuan Peppers featuring Action Bronson and Hologram. Of course, Action Bronson is going to be featured on a track that has food in the title.
Of course.
All about that.
Yeah, classic from Action Bronson there. Nothing but quality from him. I want to talk about naked night fights in bathhouses in Turkey, dipping razor blades in herpes. Amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah. This right here this track was made for Action Bronson. This is perfect for him.
Yeah. My whole team is Eskimo brothers, fucking these hoes like we were testing out rubbers.
I know he's got some ridiculous lines in this song, man.
Very typical. Just the way he comes in on this, and then he like stops, and then he starts up again. He's like, "Fuck this! I'm owning this shit right here, boys. This is my track."
Yeah,
he takes a break and then comes back and like kills it again. I'm like, I love you, Action Bronson, amazing.
Yeah, this is the track he redeemed himself from the previous track, like definitely for me.
Yeah, I felt it was very odd the way they, Muggs kind of faded out Mayhem Loren's third verse in this, or the last verse in this track. It kind of fades out and then it goes into like this really long dialogue outro that's like 50 seconds. It's like half the song. And I was like, really, this album's so short as it is. We're not getting a lot of Mayhem, and all of a sudden his vocals are being faded out. I'm like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
I was kind of lost on that a little bit. I was like, that's really fucking strange to me. Maybe there was something wrong with the recording after, and he's like, well, if I just fade this out, it'll come across fucking very natural. Like, I don't know, man. That was very strange to me. But all in all, good song, though. I like it.
I like the song a lot. Cool. It's more like a new style beat too. It's like doesn't have an old school type of feel to me.
Yeah, very, very modern DJ Muggs for sure.
Yeah.
So Red Rum, track number 9. This is the third Mayhem Loren solo track on here. Now this track I felt very old school feeling, and I think Mayhem killed this song too, man. It's has a little bit of a hook. 3 kind of quick verses. This is like another really short track. I don't know how the fuck he rips such short. 2:21, man. Like, it's a fucking short song, but I loved it, man. I thought this one banged like shit, man. And it just had that appeal to it, man. Old school beat, no gimmicks, no bullshit, just giver. I loved it, man.
Yeah, man. This beat took me back to the Flintstones again, man. It's the Flintstones Muggs beats.
That old school shit, yeah, man.
Yeah, see, this one, though, it took me back to, like, if Fred was driving home after a hard day, he's at Slate Rock all day, he's just kicking back, throws this on, man. Fucking perfect.
And surprisingly enough, even though it was a solo track, this was one of my favorites, actually, on the whole project. So I thought it was a really, really great track, so...
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree, man. No outro on this one. Track 10, Murder Rap, which I believe is a single right now. I think this is the second single on the record. So, this is
they just put out one that for Assassins. Well, it's Assassin, whatever. With that just came out what was it, yesterday? I think.
Okay,
it's the last day or two.
That did get released. Okay, so this is the fourth and final solo track on the record for Meyhem. Dude, this beat is ridiculous, man. You could tell Muggs was sitting on this one, and he's like, "Okay, who can rip this? Who can fucking rip this beat, man?"
This is a Muggs banger right here.
This is it's one of those beats that comes in hard as fuck. It's relentless. It never lets up. The beat just bangs from top to bottom. Meyhem kills it. I think this is the type of beat that Meyhem really shines on. Something a little bit louder and harder. I don't know, man. He comes off as straight fire in this one. I love the arrangement of the verses too, man. Really good stuff, the way it's constructed. Awesome track, man. Really, really love this one.
Yep, it's good stuff, definitely.
I completely agree. I think he just kind of picked up where he left off on the previous track and went, like you said, he went even harder. Because this was, even though I don't like his solo stuff, but he wasn't like his usual rapping self. He really picked it up on this. So this was another one of my favorites. I'm like, I think he just rapped like this all the time. I would fucking love him, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Rounding out the record, track 11 called Tension, featuring Action Bronson and Be Real. This is another one of those verse to verse tracks, no hook, no bullshit. It's got a dialogue outro. It's very much like a lot of the same arrangement that we've had throughout the record. I think, Action Bronson was okay on this track. I didn't think he was overly the greatest on this one. I did like Be Real, man. He said actually a couple funny things when he was talking about pussy. Shit made me laugh, man. He had a couple really funny lines in this one, and I'm a big fan of Be Real, and it's cool that he still does shit like this, man. Because he's always doing something. He's always he stays relevant all the time. But I thought it was a pretty solid track to end out the album. It's definitely a little bit lackluster, considering it just came after Red Rum and Murder Rap. It definitely feels like it's kind of downplayed a little bit, but. It was still good. Yeah, it's still good. So that rounds out the record. My overall thoughts on this album is that this is, usually I would get a little butthurt by something like this because, me, man, I like these production albums, one MC, one producer album. First off, I love that, Muggs, Meyhem Loren. That's inviting to me. And I like these albums to have a little bit less features. I think that was one thing that brought it down for me, even though the features on this record were actually pretty damn good. I
thought all the features were pretty decent.
So it didn't actually affect my rating too much on it, because it actually was pretty cohesive. It kept it, even though it had that appeal of a mixtape, it still felt cohesive like an actual studio record, which is kind of interesting. You don't find this a whole lot. But the album's really short. 33 minutes, 11 tracks. It's such a short listen, man. I honestly wanted more.
Well, there are a couple bonus tracks on the physical release.
Are those actually on the physical release?
Yeah. If you buy the album off of Soul Assassins, they have the bonus tracks on there.
Okay, so is it just through them or something? Because I have this pre-ordered. I haven't actually got my copy yet.
Yeah, I believe it is. If just from what I was reading on their site, I believe it is just if you get it from them. You get the 2 bonus tracks.
Oh, okay. Shit.
I'm not positive, but I mean, that's the way it was looking on their site.
Yeah, because I saw the bonus tracks on there. I wasn't sure. I kept seeing official track listings that only had 11, and it wasn't even showing bonus tracks on anything else. And I was like, oh, shit, man. So, I mean, it's happened before where you get the music to a record and it's not the actual album. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, I liked it though. I even honestly I found entertainment. I got entertainment out of the outros. I liked the little soothing beat. I liked the dialogue. It was funny. It was good. It just kind of made me smile and shit. And, you know, for people that don't like long albums, I recommend this album, man. Like, it's definitely got a lot of replay value. It does, man, because it's so short. You can just listen to the album and then listen to it again. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, some albums you just really don't want to do that because they're 50, 60 minutes long and you're spending half your fucking day listening to the album twice. Good shit, though, man. I'm going to come in at a 7 out of 10 on this one.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in the same ballpark as you. I think I'm the biggest fan of Meyhem out of the three of us. I've always liked his stuff. I actually like him more than Action Bronson on most stuff. But as far as a rating goes, I'm going with a 7.5. Solid beats, good rhymes, good features. I had a good time with this album. Listened to it several times.
Yeah, good shit.
Yeah, I'm obviously, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Meyhem Loren, but luckily he wasn't terrible on this for me. His solo tracks were pretty decent, and the features really helped it out a lot. And plus, it was short, so that helped too. Yeah. So, like I said, I can't really. I don't know. I'm not going to recommend it, but obviously those guys, you know, are bigger fans and they recommend it. So go check it out. I'm probably going to give it like a. I didn't even rate this one yet. I guess like a 6. I guess I give it like 6.5. Didn't love it, but it was decent. So.
You know, it's funny because when we were talking about this record, I kind of figured your guys' ratings were going to be exactly like that. It's weird.
Yeah.
I figured Jay would be a little bit higher, you'd be a little bit lower than me. That's interesting. So,
well, I mean, the Rock Marciano feature alone gets me that extra 0.5 on there.
All right, so 3 tracks. For myself here, number 3, got to go with Street Religion. Number 2, Red Rum. Number 1, Murder Rap. Top 3 tracks for myself.
Nice. Yeah, I went with Street Religion, of course. Actually went with 151 and Szechuan Peppercorns.
Oh, shit, you didn't have Murder Rap or Red Rum? Wow.
Nope.
Wow.
Oh, this guy's got to be so damn different.
I prefer the Meyhem Slow Flow. Come on.
Yeah, I thought Murder Rap was just fucking highlight. But,
yeah, I liked it as well. It's definitely nothing wrong with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's not any misses on this record. I mean, anything you's recommendable.
Yeah.
Tom, what'd you have?
So I also went with Street Religion, except I went with Aquatic Violence because I missed the motherfucking Esquire.
Yeah.
That's first on the record. And then I went with Red Rum as well. So I could probably switch that up, Red Rum or Murder Rap. They're both dope, but Red Rum was my favorite.
Interesting. I can't believe I'm the only one that had Murder Rap. That blows my mind. Yeah. That blows my mind.
Your shitter is blown.
My shitter just got blown out again. Damn.
The old guard was losing its grip on power, and a new regime was taking shape. What exactly that would look like, nobody could say. Suddenly, the whole world could speak a few words of Russian. The most important, Perestroika, 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 Perestroika.
All right, so moving into the second album here, we are going to get into another brand new album from 2017. And this one right here, man, like I was, very shocked that this even materialized. I don't know why. I remember when this got announced, I was like, wow, this is really crazy. This is actually happening. We've got Apathy and O.C with Perestroika. Yeah, dude, I was like, really? Like Apathy and O.C are doing an album together? I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that was a little bit shocking to me. I think it was even shocking for Apathy because he was, he's a big fanboy of O.C. So it must have been kind of interesting working with someone that you've looked up to like your whole career. I think that's really damn cool.
Definitely. The thing I thought was kind of weird is like the title itself, Perestroika. It's like what I was coming into this. I'm like, all right, well, this is like Russian shit. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with what Perestroika is. Basically, it's like a restructuring of the Russian political system. But it was So I was like, what's this going to be like? Apathy and O.C. and they're talking about Russian shit. But
well, I think it's more of a metaphor too. It's relatable to the American economy right now and things like that. It's kind of a big fuck you to the way the system is going along. But they don't even say it so much. They literally talk about and reference Russian stuff through this whole album. It's a concept record, which is a huge metaphor for, the fuck show that Trump's putting on right now, kind of thing, right? So I think I think it came at a perfect time to do an album like this because they did it kind of subtly. They don't even reference Trump in the record. They don't, but they're referencing by metaphors, comparisons to, that restructuring to, doing it in America, which is kind of cool, man. I thought it was a really interesting concept record. And I'll be honest, I had to look up what Perestroika was. I literally looked it up and read up the meaning before I listened to the album. I was like, oh, okay, I knew it was Russian, obviously, by the name. You can just tell. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is the, this political movement from the Communist Party that was, under Mikhail Gorbachev. And I'm like, okay, this is really cool to learn about. And it got me super excited to listen to this album. Like, that's awesome. It's like a different,
it's like
a different type of album. So
I didn't know what to expect coming in, but definitely like the result of what they did.
Yeah, man. And that's really what, what the album is. It's a concept record. It's a big metaphor. And I think it's pretty cool how they structured this album too. They didn't have a lot of features on this album. And, it was very modestly done. Apathy and O.C, exchange verses on this album. And they kind of did a collabo record together. I was very excited.
Yeah, and the main thing I was surprised with is that Apathy produced almost the entire album, which is kind of a surprise to me. I figured there would be some DITC production on this for sure, but
I thought
Apathy
so too.
Handled it all.
Because remember when they first announced that Apathy and O.C were working together, what was the first picture that you saw?
Yeah.
It was a picture of Apathy and O.C at the DITC studios, and I just figured maybe there might be, some Diamond D on there or whatever.
I thought there was a picture of him with Lord Finesse as well. I saw before, I think. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But I could have sworn there was a picture of them with Showbiz on there. I thought I saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
There was a picture with Showbiz. It might have just been because those cats were always in the studio, and they rent out the studio for studio time and things like that. So it does make sense that they would record it, considering OC probably lives at that studio.
Right.
But I was very shocked that Apathy did 90% of the production. The only songs that he didn't produce on this album, which is oddly enough the first single, which is Soviet Official, that was produced by Moss, who has done records with, Eternia. He recently did the Cool G Rap album. He worked with Obi Trice. He's done a lot of albums, I don't think he's a household name. A lot of people don't recognize Moss as a name, but he has done full albums, producer records with other artists, which is pretty cool. And I believe Globetrotters, is it the last song on the album, was done by somebody. I can't remember who produced that one. I'm gonna have to look that up in a second. But
that one was Globetrotters. It was, who was that? Ill-Informed.
Yeah, Ill-Informed. Ill-Informed. He produced that track. So pretty much all done by Apathy, which is interesting. So if you're familiar with Apathy's production, you kind of know what the album's going to sound like. I think his production is very Apathy sounding on here. It sounds like Apathy's not really doing something a whole lot different. But, with that said, first track on the album, Live from the Iron Curtain. That's a great title to start off an album with.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. It set the stage for the concept, Live from the Iron Curtain. That's fucking awesome. What a great title, man. And man, I have to say, man, I never fucking noticed this until listening to this album from a critical standpoint. And I never realized how much Apathy and OC kind of sounded like. Their voices are kind of similar at times, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, yep.
It's really interesting because Apathy is very recognizable when he's featured on someone's album. Oh, that's Apathy. OC. You put them together, and they're like the same person. They have different flows and styles, but their voices are very, very similar. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I gotta admit, there was one verse when I thought it was OC rapping, but it was actually Apathy. And I'm like, I thought that I knew both of them so well, and I'm like, wait a minute, I just almost screwed myself up. Like it was crazy. I didn't realize, just like Boots, I didn't realize how similar they were until they were right next to each other on the track. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think this is one of my favorite beats Apathy's ever done, and also one of my favorite verses he's ever done. So definitely top-notch track for me for Apathy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, this was a perfect way to start off the album. This is what I wanted. I wanted to, like, the last album, the fucking Meyhem. That's how I would have wanted something like this to start off that album. Then I would have maybe got more psyched for it, But, dope stuff.
Yeah, really energetic, kind of first track on the album. It really sets the stage for it. I think it's awesome, man. OC, or Apathy and then OC, they kill their verses in this. And they do this a lot, actually. There's no... honestly, one thing about this record I wish they had it done a little bit more of, they structured it very, kind of, old school, verse, chorus, verse, or whatever it may be. They didn't do a lot of back and forthing. In fact, they don't do any of it. I would have loved to have heard a couple verses on this record where, Apathy and O.C would go back and forth on verses. That's like one of my favorite things, you take the song Rap Life by Kool G Rap and Nas. Kool G Rap does a verse, Nas does a verse, and the third verse they go back and forth on. I'm a really, really big fan of when MCs do that. I love that shit. And
for sure.
This is very standard construction, which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. It's kind of nitpicking, but I wish they had done something like that. But, for my own personal, But you know what I'm saying, though. Track 2,
for sure.
Tomorrow Is Gone, featuring Slain and Kappa Gamma. One of the very few tracks on the album that actually has features. Another really solid beat. I mean, I can't really complain. I really enjoyed this, man. O.C, Apathy, then he got Slain. When Kappa Gamma, does he... No, he just sings on... He does the chorus. He does the hook in this track, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I thought Slain sounded really good on this beat, though. He was probably the highlight for me on this one.
Slain is one of those guys that has always been hit and miss for me. I've mentioned this many, many times about Slain.
Yeah, same for me.
I like Slain, and I find Slain is one of those guys that does better work as a feature.
Yeah.
His records are okay, but I find that he really does shine. He seems to put in that extra effort when he's being featured on something. I mean, you got a lot of fucking big shoes to fill. Like, you're on a track with O.C. and Apathy.
Yeah.
And Slain, he's not a slouch himself. He can rhyme, but he does. He does a really good job on this, man. I like it has this like guitar kind of lick loop in this with some cool strings and shit. Like, it's very typical Apathy. He likes to use chopped up samples like that in his music, and he's got a very distinct kind of production style. But this one works though, man. I think Slain does a good job on this, man. He really does. I think my favorite verse is, I mean, for the most part, I think. Well, we'll get into it after. I actually got a question for you guys, but what do you think of this one, Tom?
I really enjoyed this, actually. I thought it was pretty good. Like, I'm with you guys. Slain isn't really my favorite when it comes to like his solo projects, but I thought he usually does great in features most of the time. Sometimes he's just okay, but I liked it. I like kind of the storytelling, the stuff they went through, just talking about that. That was a pretty cool track.
Yeah. Which leads us into our first single, produced by Moss, Soviet Official. This song is kind of bananas. Like, I think they kill this song, man.
Yeah,
I love
it. For sure.
It's really...
He just comes in and starts going off on a great beat. Like, this beat reminds me of something so much. I think another beat, I just can't think of like what it reminds me of. It's just so similar to another beat that I don't know if Apathy, but it was somewhere in the Demigods camp, and I can't think of. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but maybe
I had that feeling a few times with the horns on this. Like, not on this specific track, but I can't remember what one it was right now, but later on I probably have a note on it. But there's I've heard this before from Apathy for sure. It has to be the same sample.
Right, it's probably the same sample or the same horn or just something that I've heard before somewhere else. But I love this track too. I thought this was amazing. So
it is, man. But I find that this track right here would have been a perfect track where Apathy spits one verse, O.C. spits the second verse, and if they had done a third verse of this to go back and forth on, this would have been kind of like their rap life, like, I don't know, man. It's a great track. And the irony is, this Moss beat is better than any beat that he did for the Kool G Rap album.
Yeah.
There is not one better beat on that Kool G Rap album than this one. And it's a beat that he put on this record that he gave to Apathy and O.C. I think that's pretty interesting, but there's a solid video for it. Pretty cool stuff. Next up here is Winter Winds with Marvelous. Man, dude, this track's dope too, man. This is another real fucking banger on here. Awesome scratch course in this. You got some ODB and some Biggie in there and shit. I mean...
Zilla coming in with the scratches.
Yeah, man. I love this track, dude. It's fucking awesome. Apathy, Marvelous, and I think O.C. kicks the third verse in this one. And then it's got like a long outro to it and stuff. But this I love this track, man. It's kind of a little bit up tempoed, and just verse, man, scratch choruses, and you can't get any better than that. That's the type of shit that I love. And those classic samples, right? Like Biggie and shit. Like, come on. A lot of people say they're overused and stuff, but they're still classic and they sound good in the songs. So.
Oh yeah, man! They have the ODB and Biggie samples in there both together. It's like good shit. But yeah, Marvelous sounded great on this as well, I thought.
I actually didn't know much about him. I actually looked up Marvelous and I couldn't find any info on him or like really any material that he's done. But I thought he was awesome on it. So. Yeah,
he has a Bandcamp. I think he put out like 2 or 3 albums.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to look into it. I didn't know much about him, but yeah.
You probably know him, don't you, Tom? Where he's from Connecticut.
Yeah, he's just a local dude, so I'm not surprised that he's not like more well known. But Apathy has been working with him a lot recently, so he's probably hear more of them coming up soon. But yeah, I love this track, man. I love the kind of the theme of this, like the winter and the cold and like the ominous kind of beat that just goes well with the theme. So I thought it just worked really, really well all around.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
So actually,
one of my. Yeah, it's got like that very haunting sounds in it, right? It feels very like cold, for lack of a better word. But I mean, winter winds. I mean, it's supposed to. I mean, it says a lot when you put those sounds in there. It really does make it kind of feel like a cold track, but it rips. It rips, man. Yep. It just feels you leaving warm at the end too. It's awesome. Convey Leader to Raven. Convey Leader to Raven. I mean, this is quite obviously, that's another really great title too. Apathy O.C. Quick track, man. A couple verses on it. I don't know about this. This is actually probably one of my least favorite songs on the album, to be honest. It completely feels like a filler track to me. I didn't really care for the chorus in this one. It has like this weird, and I usually like flute sounds. Like it has this like flute kind of hook sound. I don't know what the fuck it is, man. It's really weird. I didn't really care for the chorus that they used in this at all. It's got a really strange loop sample in it too. I don't know. I wasn't one of my favorite Apathy beats. The verses are good though. Like I listened, the verses are always good on this record, but I didn't really care for the beat that much. There's actually a Rambo sample in this song too.
Yeah, I know. It's like when they're in the beginning, like Covey Leader to Raven. I was like, I heard that shit before. Where did I hear that before? So I had to go on Google. I just typed it in, Covey Leader to Raven, came up Rambo. That's where it was.
Yep, it's a Rambo sample.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, as opposed to you, I love this beat. This was one of my favorites. Actually, I love that flute part. I love flute just as an instrument.
Yeah, I usually do too, but.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of jazz and like the flute. I just thought it worked really well on this, and I know what you mean. I see why you wouldn't really care for this. I wouldn't be your favorite, but I love it. I thought it was great. And then Apathy's wordplay on this is amazing.
Oh man, yeah. Apathy friggin' killed his verse on this.
Oh, they killed. Yeah, this was definitely one of my favorite verses on the whole record from Apathy.
Yeah, definitely.
One of my favorite tracks in general, just because I love the beat perfectly too. So it just works for me.
Yeah, and OC's verse on this track as well was really good, but Apathy's was just a little bit better for me.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. No More Shit, track 6. Apathy verse OC. It's kind of has like an old school feel to it. I felt like it kind of sounded a little bit older. What is this? It's got like this kind of soft chorus to it.
The chorus didn't work for me on this one at all. I was like, this is one of the songs I didn't like on the album just because of that mainly.
Yeah, this is like actually back to back. I wasn't really. This is I was like, okay, these are 2 of my least favorite tracks on the album, but I wasn't really a big fan of the chorus in this one either. Again, the verses are really solid though. Like, Apathy. Actually, this verse right here is so Apathy. This is just Apathy, at heart. I don't know what it is, but it just totally just says a lot about his style and stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. The chorus, I think it would have been better without one, to be honest. But
definitely would have, for me anyway.
I actually feel the same way that you guys. I didn't care for the female vocal thing, the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't really care for that at all. So I think we're all on the same page on this one.
That chorus. Yeah, that chorus was a mess. So there was like this woman singing "No more soft," and then they're like "No more soft shit." It's like,
right?
That's a mess, man. That's a mess.
Yeah, it just seemed like it was kind of like slapstick together at the last minute or something. Like it seemed like, I don't know what they had going on there, but it was a complete fucking mess. So.
I was trying to find what sample that was. It's got to be taken from an old track, right? Like some contemporary adult shit that no one fucking knows about. Yeah, that Apathy found, probably record digging, and he's like, "Oh, this sounds like no one's ever used this," but then it just didn't turn out that well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's maybe a way to flip that sample, but I don't know. It didn't work for me in this, at least. Well, I guess you guys either. But track number 7, Gorbachev. Of course, you have to have a track called Gorbachev in the record. Yeah, man. I fucking love this track, man. The beat just sounds tough. It just sounds tough. I love the horns. The fucking scratch outro is amazing in this. Apathy O.C fucking kill. Both their verses are amazing. I can't even decide who has a better one. This is a great song. I think this is great, man. And it's really kind of what the whole album's about. You know, it's given it to, you know, Gorbachev. He was the guy that was, you know, set in motion this whole change, you know, and I think it's cool, man. It's cool.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I like this song a lot, but this is the track that I thought the horns sounded like something I had heard before from Apathy. I'm pretty sure it was on a Demigod's beat, man. Like the horns are just like,
it's very typical of producers to use the same horn sounds.
Yeah,
you know, he probably put the horns in and maybe did something, might have put some type of effect on there, but at the end of the day, they are very similar sounding. And I feel that too, because you ever know, like when you hear horns, like horns are very distinctive, and they're always triggering memories of like, where did I hear that? You know, even though you might not have, but like he probably has those samples somewhere in his system, and he's like, yeah, I'm just throw them on here. You know? You know,
there's nothing wrong with that at all. It just brings, like you said, when you hear it, as soon as you hear it, it's like, where did I hear that before?
Yeah,
it's like, it kind of distracts you, because you're. I even went on. I started listening to Demigod songs. I was like, what goddamn song was these horns on before?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gorbachev, man.
Yeah.
Cool track.
I love this track. Fantastic track. Just the one when he just starts off with like, I'll leave your head bloody like Gorbachev, wake up in a bloody.
Oh, dude,
left like
the beginning of this verse is fucking awesome, dude. I loved it. So good.
Yeah.
And it was great too, because, you know, the last two tracks for myself weren't like the greatest, and then this one comes and I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, here we go again. That's some good shit. Then it leads into the broadcast. Has another chorus. This beat right here again is like very, very, very Apathy sounding. You know, this is very typical Apathy production, which is a good thing. You know, he's not trying to do too much with this. It's a very, but their lyrics in this song are awesome. Totally awesome, man. They're saying a lot in this too, man. It's, you know, again, huge metaphor, but getting the word out there, man. Broadcast. Do you guys like the song? Do you like the chorus in this one?
Yeah, I thought it was really good, top to bottom. I like both their verses. Good shit.
You know, again, go, Tom.
Oh no, I said thought it was cool. I really kind of like OC. I like where he calls himself a verbal alcoholic. That's pretty fun.
Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. Which leads into the album title song, which is Perestroika. Now, I cannot for the life of me figure out the vocal sample that they used in this track. I don't... Dude, it's got to be from a movie. Does it not?
You know what this reminded me of? You remember that song Mr. Green did with Jedi Mind Tricks, that Design and Malice song, where there were a couple features on there, Young Z and Pace One?
Yep.
As soon as I heard this, I was like, this is Mr. Green's beat, man.
That's interesting. I never even thought of that, but that's a good point, though. That's a really good point. Yeah, man, I fucking see this. The sample used here sounds like it came from like a 70s exploitation type film or whatever. I'm not sure. I want to know where he found it, because it's got to be taken from a film. It has to be. It sounds like a score or a theme song to a film, and I love that. I think that's perfect, man.
I think it's from what film is it from? I want to say it was from like no, I had it written down somewhere. I'll tell you later, but as soon as I find it, I'll let you know. I had it written down somewhere.
Really, you actually figured? Wow, it's crazy, because I couldn't find it. I was like, what the fuck is this, man? It's so recognizable.
Yeah, I think I found it somewhere. I just, I don't know where it is right now. I don't have it on me, but yeah, I'll post it later. It's definitely from something, though, because I've definitely, like you said, it's definitely really, really, it's again with that Apathy uses those sounds that I just, I know they came from somewhere that I've heard before. I just can't put my finger on it, and it's just like it kills me that I can't think of what it is. So, damn it, Apathy.
I love this shit about YouTube, man. He's like, not on fucking YouTube, man. We're trying to do it that way.
Yeah.
I love that shit,
yeah, it's
man.
a good social commentary on this one.
Oh, big time, man. This is essentially what the whole concept of the album was about. It's kind of cool, man. They spit some real shit in this one too, man. Both verses are really heavy. Very impactful too, man. It's really good stuff. Which leads us into Stomp, Kill, Crush Mode featuring self-titled. And it's funny, like a title like that has to have self-titled on it. That just sounds like it has to have self-titled on it, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, dude. Fucking, I think some of self-titled to me has always been one of the funniest punchline rappers out there. Like, oh yeah, dude, man, I love the line where he's like, he says, "I should have bought the publishing to Who Let the Dogs Out."
Yeah,
I fucking bursted out laughing at that. I'm like, that's so, oh man, and he just says cool shit like, if I had to take a selfie, it'd be a goddamn photo bomb. Like,
that's
shit
how,
like
how
that.
the track ends off there.
And the way he puts that is like so fucking self-titled, man. I love shit like that, man. It's good, man. He compliments, these guys so well in this too, man, because he's kind of the comic relief in the serious track, Stomp, Kill, Crush Mode,
yeah, there's not too many more features I look more forward to than self-titled, man. It's because he's going to bring it on every feature he has, because that's what he does.
Self-titled to me is R.A. the Rugged Man. Those two guys, every time I see their names as features, I'm so excited to hear what they're going to do. And they usually never disappoint. Two of the best featured artists out there. Self-titled needs to do another album. Yeah,
exactly. But on this album, not on this album, this track, the main thing I loved on this was the chorus, because Apathy and O.C went back and forth on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's like, man, why didn't they do more of this? Like in the verses and shit too, like you were bringing up earlier. But I really love that. I really love the way they did the chorus on this one, though.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was going to say this is about the only time they actually go back and forth on the whole record. And and you get to see a glimpse of how amazing that could have been on verses.
Oh yeah, their voices fit very well together like that.
Well, because they almost sound the same. It's like crazy how much they complement each other. They're almost the same person. It's crazy, man. Yeah, dude, this was a cool track, man. I really liked it, actually. So what's next here? We got What It's All About. This has one of my favorite samples in here. The sample taken from the song Stakes Is High by De La Soul. Life Can Get All Up in Your Ass. I love that shit, man. It just fits so well in this track right here. It's a very laid back track. Love the piano loop in it. You guys know me with piano loops, man. I love my fucking piano loops. Love anything with piano, man. So it sold it right for me. Great sample, great piano loop, awesome verses, awesome track. Really good stuff. Yeah, the title pretty much says it all on this one.
Yeah,
it does.
I'm with you. I love that. I love that sample too. That like you said, that laid back jazzy piano loop is amazing. It fits so well. It was like made for this track. It's great verses. And the great line from O.C too. It says that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom just to see who's there to help sort out the problem. I think that was O.C, by the way. I didn't actually write down who it was, but great stuff.
Exactly. Which leads us into the last track on the album, Globetrotters, featuring Just Cuz. This one was produced by, who's it again?
Ill-Informed.
Ill-Informed. Fuck, I keep forgetting the guy's name. Jesus. Ill-Informed. You can right away tell that Apathy did not produce this track. It does not sound like Apathy production. It sounds... but it still sounds like it fits in the record. It's got a pretty soulful chorus to it. It's got fucking that No Sleep Till Brooklyn sample in it. What the fuck? I thought that was actually kind of comical. I don't know, but it was still pretty good. I don't know if I would end the album with this track.
Yeah, I actually didn't think this track fit on the album. They're just basically talking about their road life and how how it's rough and doing this for the fans type of thing. But I just didn't think it fit on the album though.
I 100% agree, man. I 100% agree. This track is definitely kind of the black sheep of the album. It's the one that doesn't. The content isn't exactly what the album's about. 100%, man.
it's not adding anything to the record,
No.
right? Like you could have definitely just left it off at what it's all about, and it would have been great.
Which would have been the ultimate ending to the album, because the song is totally good. Right?
Yeah.
Right. It's feels like this was just like tacked on at the end because I don't know, they needed to fill another track or something. And it's weird because it wasn't produced by Apathy, so maybe like they gave him a track and he just I don't know, promised him he's going to put it on the record or something. He's like, oh, I got to put this track on the record. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad song. Like, it's a good song.
No,
it's more personal to them. I just didn't think it fit the album.
Right, exactly. It just doesn't feel like it fit at all. So I'm with you guys there. I don't see it either. But
yeah. But yeah, I think we're all pretty much in agreement on this one. It's like, as far as rapping goes, I have zero complaints. There are a few issues with a couple of the beats, but other than that, man, it's a really solid album.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I thought it was an amazing project, and nice to see these two actually finally come together to make a record. I know Apathy's been talking about this forever. He's been wanting. OC is one of his favorite artists. He's just wanting to do a project. We're with him for years now. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think they actually hooked up back in the day. They said, I was reading about it back on like a Organized Confusion show or something like that. I think it was maybe it was an Organized Confusion show, and then they've been working, talking about hooking up since then. So yeah, nice to finally see it happen years later.
Definitely.
I think that's actually one of the coolest things to note about this collaboration here. This is something that we didn't get in the 90s. We didn't get a lot of artists in the 90s working with their childhood idols and stuff. We've come to a point in hip hop where some of these older artists that are still going today are able to, the new generation of artists are able to work with their idols. It's came that far into the game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't have got these collabos in the 90s. It can only happen today within, given the time, right? I think this is super cool. It's a very special time where, OC's still young enough and he's still recording and being relevant to work with guys like Apathy. I think that's really, definitely really fucking cool. And I wish it would happen more. Like someone just, well, I mean, actually, it has happened. It happened a couple years ago with Necro, with Necro and Kool G Rap.
Yeah.
Necro's his favorite rapper in the world. It was fucking Kool G Rap, and they did a project together. That's fucking cool. Two generations getting together. So it's it's not the first time, but definitely something to note. I love this record. I absolutely love this album, man. It's very cohesive. I love the content to it. The overall feel of this is just, it's very energetic and it's entertaining. There's no real down points in this. There's a couple tracks that I wasn't, feeling. I mean, that generally happens in albums, but they weren't terrible. I love the concept of the political motivated type stuff. I've always been attracted to, and it's ironic because I'm not a big, I hate politics. I don't follow politics as much as I probably should. I mean, I follow American politics more because it's so much more interesting than Canadian politics, because it's like a shit show down there. It's crazy. It's so entertaining. But in a sense, when you put this in a concept and use this metaphor, this Perestroika metaphor, I think it's a brilliant idea and it's super relevant, and I hope more people catch on to it, considering the MCs that are doing it. Two very lyrical people. One of my favorites of all time. Everybody knows how much I love OC and Apathy. And I think if you were to pick one MC on the record, who do you think did the better job, Apathy or OC?
Apathy for me.
I would say Apathy. Yeah, I would say Apathy definitely.
I actually think Apathy did too, and that's coming for somebody that adores OC with every ounce of my heart. I love OC, but I think Apathy outdid him on this record.
Yeah,
I think it's because Apathy wanted this more. I think he just wanted so bad. He wanted to just show OC what he could do, show him his skills. And it's just it's just Apathy. I think so.
But that's what I thought as well. I thought the exact same thing. It's like he was going to bring it the best he could on this album. He has like one of his heroes he's doing an album with, so he's not going to do half-ass it.
Apathy sounds so hungry on this album. He sounds so motivated. His last couple of solo projects I haven't been 100% with. I've liked them, but I felt like, he's done better work. And I was glad to see him return with such hunger. And it's a tough project too for, an MC like that to produce an MC and have a cohesive project. especially doing a concept record too. It's different to sit down and write rhymes all over the place, but when you're doing a concept record, it takes a lot more energy. I think he really had his heart in it, and it showed. In the end product, it really did show. So, I can't say a lot of bad things about this, man. It's, it's very typical Apathy production. He likes to use the sound effects in there, like when he says gun cocking, he'll have a gun cock. And I like those extra little things, in production. I think that's fun. Some people don't. Yeah. Some people actually don't. They're like, oh, the sound effects are so fucking cheesy. But he does it. He does them elegantly and a little bit subtle too. It's not like, it's not like Thug Love, Bone Thugs and Harmony and fucking Tupac, where the fucking snare is literally a gunshot. It's like, what the fuck? That's so ridiculous. Great album. Ratings. What do you guys rate this one? Jason, what do you say? What do you say? You're up first.
I'm rolling with an 8 on this one.
Tom?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with 8.5. Maybe I was thinking about a 9, but I think I'll stick with 8.5 just because it's so new. I haven't. I know it came out like recently, not too recently, a little while ago, but I just listened to it like for the first time this week. So yeah, or not this week, but when we decided to do it. I mean, sorry, for the show. So
I am also at an 8. I am also 8 out of 10 on this one. Also, I just, a couple tracks I felt like beats were there, but if they had went back and forth on some verses on this record, just had that third verse, because most tracks are just 2 verse tracks. And I'm not saying they're just 16 bars. These guys are ripping like 24, 36 bar verses and shit. They're long. Like, it's crazy. Like, they put a lot of work into their verses and shit, but if they had just done that would have been amazing, so, but very good, very good album. 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the highlights of the year for myself anyways. But yeah, moving along, get into the old school album.
We didn't do the top 3 tracks on that one.
Oh yeah, we didn't. We did not do top 3 tracks. Sorry.
Getting ahead of yourself. Come on.
Fuck, man. I'm a terrible host. I have no idea what I'm doing. Top 3 tracks. Yes. Well, I'll go. What It's All About, number 3. Number 2, Winner Wins, and number 1, Soviet Official.
All right, I had Live from the Iron Curtain, Soviet Official, and Stomp, Kill, Crush Mode.
Again, we're always different, man. It's awesome. Tom?
Well, that's good. I had Soviet Official, Winter Wins, and I actually like Koveda Leader. That was a good one for me. So Apathy's Wordplay did it for me on that one.
Yeah. It was a toss-up between What It's All About and Gorbachev. I thought Gorbachev was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, there's a lot of good tracks on this. It's really hard. It was hard to pick 3 on this one.
There's a lot of good ones for sure.
Yeah, sure.
All right, are you having a good time so far? You want some noise in here this evening? And close the door, because we gonna party in here all night tonight.
Yeah, all right. Getting into the old school album of the show here. We're going to take it back to 1996 with an album by a group called Real Live. The album is called The Turnaround, a long-awaited drama. This album is a group effort, actually, between K-Def and Larry O. This album is like about 90% produced by K-Def. I think Marley Marl does 2 tracks on this record also. But yeah, this is like some 96 straight up boom bap, almost gangsta shit. Since I don't know, Larry O's he's a little bit harder, but he's telling tales, hood tales mostly for the people that have never heard this album. But yeah, man, this is some fucking crazy ass 90s shit right here, man. Like it just has that boom bap feel like no tomorrow. Awesome shit, man.
K-Def's beats on this, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Great shit.
Oh, hands down, dude. Like, this is when hip-hop was, like, the time when they used to sample songs that had just came out.
Yeah.
you know, it's so crazy when you break down the samples in this record. It's like, whoa, dude, like that song had like just came out, and I don't know, man, that's incredible to my, I always love that. You know, it's a 15-track album. First song is just an intro, which is actually pretty cool in itself. It's got some pretty cool samples in there. And then we get into Pop the Trunk, which is, you know, I think the title says it all. If you know where Larry O's coming from, he's telling hood tales, you know, telling people to get the fuck out of his way. It's pretty much what every song is kind of about on this album.
Yeah,
there's not really a lot of cohesiveness within his lyrical content at all on this album. Honestly, you listen to this album for K-Def's beats, man, and samples. Like, it's really good.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a thug rap over great beats album. It's basically, so all the content's going to be pretty much the same, but there's still some good storytelling in here. So
yeah, he definitely tells some good stories. I thought on this track though, especially like the hard beat, it really complemented his style and his rhymes.
Oh, dude, I have put this on so many mixtapes throughout the years. This song, Pop the Trunk. I love it, dude. I love all the Curtis Mayfield sample in here. Got some James Brown, Mobb Deep, Redman. Like he's pulling some fucking strings here, man. This is ridiculous. Like, I mean,
I'm surprised this wasn't like a single actually when this came out, because I wanted to pick this as a single for sure. I was picking off an album, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and it was also very typical of the times to have your singles at the top of your record too, right? You know, like it's kind of funny actually. The first single on this album is track 11. You know, so that's kind of interesting. But yeah, Pop the Trunk definitely plays out like a single. It is so catchy. The Redman sample from the song Can't Wait. You know, you got Mobb Deep, Survival of the Fittest. It's fucking awesome. It's some real dark boom bap gangster, like kind of, I shouldn't say straight up gangster music. It's like just, it's dark themed, you know, hood tales, you know. Got a hood tales stuff.
It's like thug rap hood tales. Exactly.
So that's what you're gonna get on Pop the Trunk. Really awesome opening track, I will say. Next up, the Gimmicks, which is, you know, Larry O basically saying, you know, fuck you weak ass MCs and your gimmicks. It's really what he's saying. You know, I do my shit like this, straight up, boom bap in your fucking face. And again, the samples used on this track are so amazing. So amazing, dude. Like, K-Def, man, one of the most underappreciated producers then. I mean, essentially this record right here is kind of like Lords of the Underground, Here Come the Lords album. You know, that album was produced by K-Def and Marley Marl, and that's what we get on here. This is a lot darker boom bap. I mean, the Lords of the Underground stuff's a little bit more up tempo and
more lighthearted.
It's basically a little bit lighthearted, exactly. But you know, essentially what you're getting here production wise. But man, the samples, dude, what the fuck? It's crazy. You got some this awesome Diana Ross sample, Isaac Hayes. There's a vocal sample in here taken from Biggie from the Flavor in Your Ear remix.
Yeah, I've seen the gimmicks, the whack lyrics.
So fucking awesome, man. Oh, dude, like again, you know, so much respect for producers like K-Def who don't just use one or two samples. He's, you know, breaking out 3, 4, 5 for each track. It makes a great track, man.
Scratching. It's nice to hear some scratching in this too. You know,
yeah.
Time when people actually use scratches in their tracks, so I don't know, pretty cool.
Exactly.
I enjoyed hearing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, Larry O switched it up a little bit on this, basically just letting people, you know, you got to pay your dues in this shit.
Exactly, man. I mean, that was always a huge topic in this era. Was, you know, because to these guys it was like, you know, we're the new, like, we paid our dues, you know, we come from the old school. People were talking about old school back in like 93, 94, 95. It's like, shit, it's kind of funny when you put it in perspective now, right?
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, man, the gimmicks, man, great stuff. Then move on to a track called They Got Me. You know, more hood tales. This song right here actually reminds me, and it's the flow too. He's got the exact same flow as, you know, the song Good Cop, Bad Cop by Blase Blase. This song, it just, like, screams that track, man, which actually came out in the same year. Or was it 95 that album came out? 95, 96, somewhere in there. Yeah, this song reminds me of that right there. It's very similar.
Yeah, I didn't think the song was very memorable. It's probably one of my least favorite on there. It's kind of like just in there. It's not something that I would probably go back to.
Yeah, it's got that Roy Ayers song, sample, which is pretty cool. I like this track. I think it's, you know, pretty good. I think actually this album has one of the longest streak of pretty dope tracks. Like at least the first, I want to say first 9 songs. I think before one I find is a total filler. But Yeah, that's just me. Ain't No Love. I mean, Jesus Christ. We know the samples, you know. the Bobby Bland track. Ain't No Love. I love that, man. In the heart.
And we're back to the street tales on this one.
Oh, big time, man. Big time. Ain't No Love. It's super catchy. And the beat, man, just fuck, man. What, like, the bass line in this track? Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
this good shit.
Like, the drums and the bass, and, like, the drums are so clean and crisp, and, like, the bass is just, works so well. I love the beat on this.
Yeah.
It just works. So K-Def did a great job on this beat. So
dude. Amazing. And then, you know what he actually adds? Like, K-Def goes one step further, and he takes the Pete Rock approach, and he puts that little outro beat at the end on this one, too.
Yeah, the switch at the end is so awesome. I love that. I love that Pete Rock style thing that they do.
He actually does it throughout the record a couple times. They put these, these little sample beats at the end, and to be honest, they're so different than the hard boom bap that we're hearing in the track, but they're so good. It's like he's just kind of showcasing, like, hey guys, like, I can do this shit too.
Right, you're right. Yeah, I could do this too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man, which leads into Iceberg Slick. I fucking still, the title just kills me every time I hear it, man. Iceberg Slick, man. Yeah, man, this one right here is, I think Iceberg, like, it's just like an ego. It's like an alternate ego of his, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, with the next track as well. It's kind of funny.
Which I think it's, don't you find it kind of weird that he put Iceberg Slick before Larry O meets Iceberg Slick?
Yeah, it is weird.
Yeah. It doesn't really make sense, does it?
You would totally think that you would have Larry O meets Iceberg Slick first, and then a song called Iceberg Slick down the road.
Yeah, you kind of, it's like, it's like gives you the ending before, the other parts of the movie type of thing.
Yeah, man. Bob James sample. Man, everyone knows that sample right there. You check it out. And then there's also a Junior Mafia sample in this track from I Need You Tonight, man. That's pretty interesting.
I'm not actually the biggest fan of that sample choice for the Lil' Kim Junior Mafia. I thought that kind of threw it. Maybe just because I'm not a fan of that track and like Lil' Kim in general.
Yeah,
I get that. Man, the cuts are dope on this track, though. I mean, it kind of.
Yeah.
I think the cuts itself are pretty cool, but yeah, basically this song is just him introducing his alter ego on the album. I'm like, it's like the Kool Keith moment on here, where Kool Keith like starts dropping all of his alter egos on tracks. Mr. Gerbic, Mr. Dr. Doom, Dr. Octagon, fucking, oh my god, Black Elvis. How many egos does he have? It's ridiculous, man, but kind of cool, man. It just plays out like a hood tale also. So, and then we get into Larry O meets Iceberg Slick, which it's just so weird. I don't know why they did two tracks. Cool Isaac Hayes sample on here. Yeah, man, I like this track too, man. It's just more of the same. It's basically like a part two of the Iceberg Slick track. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing that I didn't like on this one is that he repeats the chorus more than Lil Pump would repeat shit in his songs, man. It's like, oh my god, how many times did he say that though? It's like, what is it? Visions of Cream, I Dream a Worldwide Theme. It's like he says that 1,000 times in the song.
Yeah, which is interesting too, because he doesn't do that throughout the album very often. Doesn't repeat
a couple times, but not like this for sure.
Yeah, it's like the one track he just kind of had a seizure on or something.
And it actually one of the only two tracks that he didn't produced by Marley Marl, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Marley did this one.
That is right. That's right. Yeah.
I actually thought this was a weak point in the album, but the two Marley Marl tracks on this record I did not care for at all. It might be blasphemy, whatever, but
okay. I thought this beat was great.
Yeah, no,
I thought they ruined the record completely. I
always ruined it
for his production on this whatsoever. Especially the one coming up, especially All I Ask of You, but this one either. Because this one was all right, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, so that is one of two Marley Marl produced tracks on the album. Then we get into track 8, which is All I Ask of You coming through. This is like, the total feel-good track of the album. It uses the Raphael Saadiq Ask of You sample that was released in 1994, which, it's so new. It's still like in people's hearts. This was a big song for Raphael Saadiq. Already flipping the sample. This is probably being used. I'd actually like to look up how many songs have used this sample over the years too. This may have been one of the first ones, considering it was so close to the time Ask of You actually dropped. But this is essentially the feel good track of the album. I mean, a lot of these albums from this time period had these. This is this one.
Yeah, it's kind of like the crossover type song, you know, where they're trying to get some radio play, but it doesn't really fit the album. But I don't know. I thought it was still a pretty dope song, though.
I think it's a good placement for the track, though. It's like right at midpoint in the album. You know, you have a bunch of hard hood-tail tracks, and it kind of slows it down for a minute, and then it kind of gets back into the grittiness of the record. I have no problem with putting the track in here because, like I said, it always happened in these albums. You know, I mean, I don't think Larry O is
shit out of there.
I don't think.
Get that shit out of there.
I don't think
does not fit on this album whatsoever. Nope.
I don't think Larry O is as effective on a beat like this either, because I mean, especially from coming from Pop the Trunk and the gimmicks and shit like that, and you know, it just. He definitely doesn't sound as effective, but I don't mind the track, though. It's definitely not one of my favorite songs on the album whatsoever. I actually prefer the Raphael Sadiq song to this one, you know, the R&B song, right? Which is, you know, duly noted. It means an R&B song that they're sampling, so it's, you know, which kind of makes sense for... But yeah, Tom does not like that one.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree with what Tom's saying. Definitely, I would prefer it wasn't on the album. But like you said, you know, that's at this time period, these tracks were always on those albums. They just fucking always put that shit on there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, I get it. I get that it's on there, but I just think it just kills like the whole flow of the record. It was flowing so well, and then these two tracks come on, especially this one. The one before this I could deal with, but this one just completely takes me out of the record. You know, just with that. Yeah, I get why it's on there for
fair
sure,
enough.
though, like you guys said.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm trying to give it a little bit of props, you know, just the placing of it too. At least they didn't put this at like the end of the album where it would have felt like it was just a throw on. I can see why they put it in the album. There was a point to it, but I get exactly where you're coming from. It makes complete sense. Which leads us into the title track of the album, The Turnaround. Yeah, this is a fucking banger, man.
It was definitely a turnaround from the previous track.
Do you
ever wonder sometimes if it's like the song is better because when it comes after a song you don't like?
Yeah.
You know, you're like, holy fuck, this thing is banging. No, but this is a good title track, man. Like Larry O I love the way he comes into the first verse on this track, man. He comes in so fucking hard, and he kind of fades into it. Oh, it's dope, dude. So dope. Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome shit, man. Yeah, man, so that's The Turnaround. Then we get into Trilogy of Error, kind of a play on Trilogy of Terror, like the horror movie anthology, which is, you know, kind of the same construction. You know, it's got 3 verses that are telling these tales of error, you know, shit that he's fucked up in his life. They're more or less hood tales and shit.
More like stories of like people fucking him over, I guess, kind of.
Yeah.
Or like, not more than like him fucking up, more like him being fucked over, right? But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, cool track. I really enjoy this too. I like the theme of the, you know, still thug shit, but more like kind of storytelling thug shit about him getting fucked over, not him really doing the fucking over, so to speak. So, and I really enjoyed the kind of the cuts there at the end of this track too. I think it was taken from like a live show or something. I just kind of threw the cuts there in the end. So kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. Man, the cuts are dope, man. This is actually it's one of my least favorite tracks on the album for some odd reason. I love storytelling and things, but I think it's just the beat. I think this is the one weaker K-Def beat on the album. That's just me. It wasn't one of those straight up banger beats, but that we've been hearing through the previous, you know, 9 songs or whatever.
I agree with that as well. And at this point, I was kind of like, this album should stop pretty soon because are things going to fall apart completely, or because you know, at this point it was getting a little bit sketchy for me.
Yeah, and which actually leads us into Real Live Shit, which is the first single off the record, and I think this is just one of the hardest fucking songs K-Def has ever done, man. I love this track, dude. This is like the epitome of 96 boom bap right here. This is ridiculous. It's hard.
Yeah.
Larry O comes off so good in this track, dude. Oh man, awesome stuff.
And that's like I was saying for the previous one, I was like, should they stop? And then this came on, I was like, no, keep this shit rolling.
No, they should not. No. It's classic East Coast production, though, for sure, from K-Def. It has that classic K-Def sound. What everyone knows him for is like, you know, this right here.
Yeah.
This and fantastic rhymes from Larry O. He just sounds so good.
I think
you know, K-Def and Larry O be on some real live shit. So
this is probably one of the best lyrical tracks for him. Actually, he really shines on this, man. Great samples. There's an awesome Marvin Gaye sample in this track, some Grover Washington, and they sample it. It Ain't Hard to Tell by Nas, the vocal sample in this track. Fucking dope, dude. I mean, this song was even sampled by Pete Rock himself, on the Detta record, the song Marked for Death. I mean, you could just go on and on. This has been a very sampled track. Love me some Real Live shit. That's a dope song. And which was the very first Real Live song I ever heard. Was Real Life shit.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, they have a video for this, don't they?
Yes, it was released I can't remember. Did this song come out before the track that they did on the High School High soundtrack? Because that's like the only other Real Live song I know of. Because I don't think Larry O did anything after, but I can't remember which one I heard. I think it's Real Live shit anyways, but yeah.
I think Real Live came out first. If I had to, I'm just going off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure this one came out first, though.
It probably did.
Because this one came out in 95. I think High School, the soundtrack came out in 96. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it is 90. Yeah, it probably is 96. Okay, yeah. All those years kind of blend for me, especially just things.
I'm horrible with years, man. I don't know any years. I just mix everything up.
I just can't. I have a hard time remembering. I was doing a lot of things I probably shouldn't be doing in those years. Which leads us into Day You Die. What are your guys' thoughts on this track right here?
I like the drums on it. It's a pretty simple beat, but I thought it was pretty effective the way it played out.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was just like another banger. Nothing special, but it was pretty decent. It sounds like Larry O sounds like he's kind of like effortlessly going over this beat. So I thought he was pretty good on this, but nothing crazy for me though. I thought it was just another like decent track.
Yeah. I love the sample, man, by Lou Donaldson. The It's Your Thing sample is so sick. K-Def, man. Oh, he chopped some seriously good shit up, dude. Like it's almost like he ruined it for a lot of other producers. He just found all the greatest samples ever and put them on one album.
Right.
He's like, there you go. You can't fuck with me now.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, no one's ever heard this album. It's fucking bizarre. I don't know what the hell it is, but I don't know what it, like. Every time you mention Real Live, it's like, fuck is Real Live? I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. It's kind of a shame, actually, but. Oh, that group that had the song on the High School High soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which leads us into Crime is Money. This is like very, very typical Larry O. Crime is Money. It's another hood tale. Literally about money. Crime, money.
Yeah, crime is money. Money is crime.
Exactly,
money is
man.
Crime.
And this is the
this
track.
Was actually tied to Real Live shit, so on the original 12-inch, I remember that.
Oh, was it?
I remember. Yep, I heard these two tracks first. Yep, this was the B-side.
That's cool, man. And this is also the track that takes us back to the beginning of the show that samples Tila Rock's It's Yours.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's actually a sample in this from that song, which, I mean, for Christ's sake, what did I say? 283 songs that sample this, that track. It's ridiculous, man. And I'll just name off a couple songs that are notable. The World Is Yours by Nas. Paul Revere by the Beastie Boys. Outkast with Jazzy Bell. Linkin Park sampled it, man, with Somewhere I Belong. Evidence sampled it. More Nas with Rewind. Jake One, Little Brother, Blessed Child. Everlast, What It's Like. It just goes on and on. Eat On even sampled it, Fumbling Over Words That Rhyme. Ultramagnetic MCs, Ego Trippin', Stetsasonic, Compton's Most Wanted. Like, holy, and it just goes on and on and on. It's fucking incredible. It's one of the most sampled songs of all time. It really is.
It's crazy.
Pretty cool stuff, man. I like the track. Yeah, man, it's, it is what it is. It's got some pretty cool, strings in it. I mean, this song to me actually comes off as a little bit of an album filler. Maybe that's why it's is one of the last songs on the album.
Right. Yeah.
The beat, it's got another.
Sorry, cut you off. I was gonna say I really love the sample on this. The Minnie Riperton sample, or
yeah,
is that this one? Yeah, I think that was this one, right? Minnie Riperton sample.
I think so. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Rainy Day in Centreville. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love that sample on this, but I know what you mean about the track otherwise. But that was my favorite part of the track for sure. Amazing kind of flipping sample work, whatever you want to call it there from K-Def. So another one that he kind of was kind of the king of like taking samples and like ruining them, like you said in the previous track, ruining them from for other people from using, because the way he just flipped them and like maneuvered them was just so crazy. So
I know he did it so well. He did it so well. Then we get into Money and Shows, 2 tracks in a row with Money in the title. This song has like an insane bass line. It's crazy. K-Def just like turned that shit up, man.
Yeah, I thought at the very beginning of this song, before the beat drops in, it's like you walked into an episode of Soul Train or something, man. It's hilarious.
That's awesome. Good shit.
Then the beat drops in and changes shit up, so yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, the bass line's fucking filthy. It's ridiculous on this track.
Yep.
Then, which leads us into the last track on the album, which is actually a bonus song. It's the Real Live Shit remix, featuring Ghostface Killah, Capadonna, Lord Tariq, and Killah Sin on this one.
You could almost say it features Wu-Tang.
In a sense, yeah, it kind of does. Yeah, Capadonna just does the hook on this. He doesn't actually have a verse. So there's the verses by all the other cats, and then it's a long track. It runs 6 minutes, but then the song itself is only about 4 minutes, and then it gets into like 2 minutes of like scratch sampling on this outro. Right. And to be honest, that's actually my favorite part of the song. Is the last 2 minutes of this, man. I'm not overly a big fan of this remix, to be honest, this Posse track, but I like the last 2 minutes more. So
yeah, I wasn't really. I mean, it's like you said, it's a remix, whatever. So I could have left it off the album for sure.
I don't think Ghostface Killah sounded very good on this beat at all.
Nah.
Yeah, I prefer the original much better to the remix personally. Just like you guys, but I love that this was in a time when people actually were able to put just like 2 minutes of scratching on a track, even being a bonus track or whatever, and just like get away with it is amazing to me. So yeah, I love that.
And it's not even like he needed to do it. He already had a 4 minute track with all these MCs. Right. It could have just ended right there, but K-Def is like, nah, man, I'm gonna change up the beat. I'm just gonna scratch over and put these awesome samples on here. It's like, it's like, what the fuck? It's like so unexpected in the track too. You're like thinking when the song starts, you're like, holy shit, man! Like this is 6 minutes. These are gonna be some long ass verses. But no, every verse is like a minute long. It kind of worked itself out, and then he gets into scratching up like the Fourth Chamber by the Genius. You got some Main Source, Live at the Barbecue, Grand Poobah, Bismarcky with Vapors. I like it, Grand Poobah. It's crazy, and it sounds all super cohesive. And it's awesome, man. It's good shit. Yeah, man. So this album right here has an amazing list of samples, and this was put out on Atlantic, so this album had to be cleared of samples. So I'm assuming this one cost a shitload to make.
I would think so.
There is a fuck ton of samples to clear off this record, man. This is back in the days when would list samples and shit, and man, you just don't see albums like this done anymore. Well, at least not released legally, right?
Wait, this came out on Atlantic? Oh, in Canada, it probably came out on Atlantic. Because here in the States, it came out on the Big Beat label.
Yeah, it is Big Beat, distributed through... Yeah, Big Beat distributed through Atlantic.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, because Big Beat wasn't known for really hip-hop at all, at least here in the States. I remember it being kind of weird. I remember not when it came out, but a couple years later when I first heard it, it was like kind of weird because there wasn't like a ton of hip hop on there. Like there was a few pieces I remember, but it was mostly known for like, I don't know, kind of more like that kind of house garagey freestyle genre. You know what I mean? Like kind of it's like break beat, that kind of stuff. So and it was like a kind of left field. It came out of nowhere. I think it was like a Percy P 12-inch came out on there, and then like this, and then like Quad City DJs or something. So it's like
damn
most known for. Yeah, that's like the most hip hop that Big Beat went. So this was like a big turnaround for them, and maybe that's why I didn't get as much exposure in the US, probably because it came out on this label and not Def Jam or something that wasn't a dance music orientated type label. So
was Big Beat was obviously the indie label, but were they always distributed through Atlantic, or did they just get distributed through Atlantic for this release? Because Atlantic would have taken a look at the record if they were going to distribute it and probably want to clear it so shit didn't backfire on them, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was always distributed by. I think it was just a subsidiary of Atlantic.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually how it worked. All these major labels always had like a million sub labels, right? Which is Big Beats was probably one of them, but
maybe that's why they didn't put out very much hip hop, because they're like, God damn, this shit costs a lot of money to put out.
Probably.
Yeah,
I mean, it was founded by like a DJ who did like house music and stuff. You know, at first I think he like sold it to Atlantic or something. So
yeah.
And that's probably it too. Like that was their main thing. And then, you're probably right though. Then they saw the samples come up. House music doesn't have like that many samples. You know, it's mostly just like the same beat rhythms over and over. But they saw all the samples are like, oh shit, okay, we do this one release every 10 years. That's all we could do.
Yeah. But what a difference, though, like records like this that were coming out in the mid-'90s to a lot of records that come out nowadays definitely don't have this many samples in them, or at least they're not clearing them because they just can't. But totally different times.
Yeah, this would be a mixtape if it came out now.
Oh, big time. It's definitely a product of its time, for sure. I mean, this was the big thing in these days, was sampling and finding these samples. Like a lot of these cats like K-Def and Primo and Pete Rock and, you know, all the other beat makers, Large Pro, like they used to have friendly competitions, man. They talk about this shit. You know, like who could find these samples and shit. And like Primo would be like, I got some, I'm not showing anybody this shit, man.
Yeah.
You know, like that's cool, man. And like those days are long gone, but you get products like this, a real live. So yeah, everybody listen to this, man. Check out the record. It's really fucking dope. If you like your 90s stuff, really cool samples, you know, it's awesome, man. Ratings on this record. What do you got? Tom, you start.
Let's see. I am going to go with 8.5 again. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that up to a 9 right now because I haven't heard this album in a while. I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm going to go with a 9.
I'm exactly at the same level as you. I have it as a 9 out of 10 too. I don't really think there's much misses on this at all. It is a very, very enjoyable record. It's long. You know, this is, again, a product of its time. You don't see hour-long records come out too often nowadays. But yeah, this
is long.
It's like 61 fucking minutes. And, you know, by our standards, generally it's a long record. But, you know, it definitely holds its ground. You know, if I'm willing to sit here and say this is so enjoyable for an hour, that's crazy. That says a lot about the product, you know, that K-Def and Larry O produce. And I think it's really fucking dope.
Yeah. The only thing that kind of takes me out of it were the 2 tracks produced by Marley Marl. Mainly that one is just kind of what kills me for being like a perfect 10. Otherwise, I would think it's almost a perfect record. Maybe if we take those 2 tracks out of it, make it a little bit shorter, I'd probably give it a 10. But that's what kind of killed it for me. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is a bit long. There's a couple tracks that weren't necessary, and as we've been harping on, obviously the beats are what brings you to the party here. But I'm gonna roll with an 8 on this one as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually forgot to mention in the title track the turnaround. I just thought this was so funny actually because fucking K-Def samples Chief Rocka, which is a song that he produced, obviously, for Lords of the Underground.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. It's like the "What Goes Up Must Come Down" sample. It's like he sampled a sample that he did on his set. Oh, that was hilarious.
Producers flipping their own shit, man. That's fucking awesome. That's great shit, man. I don't know how I forgot to mention that, but
yeah, I forgot it too.
So now comes the complicated question of picking 3 for this album. I actually had a really hard time with this.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually Tom. Okay, you go. What's your top 3 on this one? I know what your number 1 is. I'll ask of you for sure.
That is my number 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, like you said, there's a lot of great tracks on here. Some of these could maybe be interchangeable, but the ones that I've always loved and that put me onto here were Real Live Shit for sure. Love Real Live Shit. Pop the Trunk was great just because it just starts off the album after the intro and it just comes in so hard. Just great stuff. And I don't know, the last one is like really hard to pick. There's great fucking. I'm just gonna go with Crime Is Money just because that Mini Ripper sample I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Although the other one maybe would have been like the Turnaround. I really like the Turnaround or the Gimmicks. Like, they're all interchangeable. I'm just gonna go. Yeah, before I stop. go with those three. So
yeah, so I kind of gave a little groan on that because the first two were exactly what I had: Real Live Shit, Pop the Trunk, and then I went with Gimmicks for the last one.
Oh my god, that's exactly my top three.
No way.
Yeah, that's exactly my top. I said Real Life Shit, man. Pop the Trunk and the Gimmicks are by far my three favorite songs. But I loved Ain't No Love, and like there's a couple of the tracks that were in the runnings there. But Pop the Trunk, Real Life Shit, and the Gimmicks, I think, is like a great trio of tracks.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. It's just hard to beat. But like you said, there's plenty of other tracks that you could pick. Like I said, they're interchangeable. Ask Me Tomorrow, maybe. I probably won't pick two. Two of the same will still the same. Like Real Life. Pop the Trunk will be the same, but the last one is interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely the hardest one to pick.
I feel that, man. Right. I feel that. Yeah. All right. So that is going to conclude episode 6. Very, very glad to be back and have this under our belts here. So we'll try to get shows out a little more regularly, I guess. We haven't even talked about our next one, so I guess we'll have to do that.
Hopefully a little more regularly.
Yes. I mean, I would like to announce what episode 7 is going to be, but like I said, we have not talked about it, so we might have to do that very sooner than later. Get that going.
Yeah.
You guys think of some ideas. I don't know. Whatever we want to do, but but we are getting down to the nitty gritty, so it's going to be a lot of, checking out a lot of 2017 albums, at least for myself.
Right.
Just in prep for the year-end show, just trying to compile a legitimate top 10 list and things like that. So be doing that, so be on the lookout for that. But we'll be back with episode 7 as soon as possible. Thank you guys for joining us and leaving questions. We highly appreciate that. It's very, very appreciated.
It's awesome.
You guys have anything else to say?
I'm good, man.
Nope.
All right, man.
Good. Thanks.
Yes. Thank you to everybody out there for listening, and we will check you in episode 7. Peace.
See ya.